Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Margs with the Boys. That's right, it's the bi-weekly podcast, or is it every other weekly podcast that talks about pop culture, video games, and pretty much anything that we want to talk about. I am Gannon11, your guest co-host on Margs with the Boys. I am joined with the boys, Doug. Doug, how's it going?
Super duper, thank you for asking.
Classic boy, back from the dead, TB for boy. TB.
Howdy. Who am I? Who are you? Where am I?
And of course, our streaming host, Jyggy11. Jyggy, the main boy, as it were. Jyggy, how are you?
I'm good, man. I love the fact that we just make the guests do the intro. It's always such a good time because they all do it better than we do. Have you noticed that?
True, honestly,
they all do it better than us, and it's just one of those things where it's like
we just need a guest every week then.
Yeah, we just get a new person. I mean, this is the second week in a row that we've had a guest. Last week TB was dead. This time Scootish. Oh my goodness, Scootish.
Pour one out for our boy.
Scootish died today.
Okay, but not actually.
In a dramatic jet ski accident. Scootish was on a jet ski this morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time, where he decided to take out his phone and watch the Super Smash Brothers Direct while jet skiing and ran into an actual killer whale. He ran
direct and drive, folks.
right into a killer whale, was destroyed,
Tragic.
blew up instantly. The killer whale's fine, don't worry, but Scootish,
well
again,
fed, certainly.
dead. Going out,
Can we have a moment of silence for Scootish?
No.
I don't think Scootish would.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think
that's
he
a
would
good
want
point.
us to. I
That's
think
a good point.
If you want a moment of yelling.
a moment of yelling
okay.
or something.
Jyggy!
There we go. Perfect.
But the only thing I can say about my good friend Scootish is that he did go out knowing that Sora is officially in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the final DLC character. He called it for how many months here on Margs of the Boys. Every single time he got his dream today of both Sora and the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise being put on the Nintendo Switch. No, it's not the entire. I think it's only 1, 2, and 3.
It's just 3 games.
And they're all cloud editions.
It's the
It's
entire
like most
franchise.
of it.
Yeah.
It's most, if not all of it.
Is it really?
It's
1.5?
It's 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, and 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. All right. So it's a lot of it. But they are cloud editions. That's the one thing that I think people are not looking at on there, is that all of them, including Kingdom Hearts 1, which is a PS2 game, will not natively be running on the Nintendo Switch. It is
10 Kingdom Hearts games. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and 3 of them are the movie versions of some games or something.
Which honestly, probably worth it. Jyggy will argue,
I was looking at buying the Kingdom Hearts games on PC on Monday, and I was talking to a friend who was explaining it all to me, and that's a whole other topic. But now I gotta wonder, do I want to wait and buy them on the Switch? It's gonna be the cloud play streaming option. Is that gonna be worse? Is that gonna be okay? I don't know.
So that just means it's like running. It's like PS Now. Essentially, it's running on a server out in the cloud, and you're.
Has anybody played one yet? Has anybody played a cloud-based Switch game yet? Is the experience good? Because
I am very apprehensive about that because Nintendo's kind of a joke with its online type.
I don't
stuff,
think Nintendo's running them. I think that
I would hope
Nintendo.
not.
I think Nintendo is making the people that are offering them run them. I would be shocked if Nintendo has a little tiny Windows 95 computer that's hosting The Witcher 3 on it or whatever. Actually, no, I think Witcher is not cloud based, but there's a bunch
you
of
can download Witcher.
Control is cloud based. But
you know what else is cloud based?
What's cloud based?
Final Fantasy VII.
Ooh,
Wait,
true.
really?
True.
That's a character is named Cloud in that game.
Oh.
It's a joke. I'm sorry. Let's continue.
Not
before
Scootish
we
isn't
move
here,
on-
so we have to
Yeah, he wasn't gonna laugh. You would have gotten it.
Yeah,
my
Scootish
boy.
isn't here. But here,
You know what else is cloud-based?
What?
Airplanes.
True.
Not exactly. Anyway, let's move on.
But-
They use cloud
but
based.
Before we move on from Smash, I do want to talk about maybe the most important announcement of all, which is the real new character. Like Sora is
right.
cool and all, but like there was a new character, and they even wrote up a little blurb about him. It's great. It's like it's all about the path of perpetual torment and seeking vengeance against the dark lords who had wronged him, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him thusly. And you know who I'm talking about. The latest fighter in Smash is the Doom Slayer. Doom Guy's in Smash. Let's go. Called
Got a
it for
sword?
months. No, he has a gun.
Oh,
Look, you-
well,
look,
a gun is like a modern
po-
sword.
I'm being poetic, and they're being poetic, and that's actually from the Doom 2016 game. But look, Doom
Didn't
Guy's in
they-
Smash.
Oh yeah, the
Didn't they,
modernization
like,
of Romeo and Juliet.
Me.
Didn't they like unalive his cat? That's why he's like so mad.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Rabbit.
like John Wick.
Oh, it's
Rabbit.
Rabbit. Okay.
Mhm.
Aw.
Yep.
Is this Doom Guy?
Doom
Yeah.
Guy.
They
Yeah.
brought his rabbit back from the. This
No,
is.
they killed the demons. So the demons. All right, you brought me on to talk about Metroid, and we will talk about Metroid. But now I'm going to talk about Doom.
Doom's basically Metroid, right?
Yeah.
There's different guns. There's
one
doors.
main difference. I've actually played Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, true. That's on the back of the box.
So the demons have killed pretty much every human on Mars. They've killed pretty much every human on Earth, and all that is a problem. But the real problem is that they killed Doom Guy's pet rabbit, and that's what made Doom Guy really mad. So that's why
Yeah,
Doom Guy's
that-
got to rip and tear.
I'm
That's
pretty
the turning-
sure that is the exact story and lore of Kirby Squeak Squad as well, where the Squeak
Rabbit
Squad
guy?
stole and ate Kirby's piece of cake, and now he's on this massive rampage across multiple worlds because the Squeak Squad took his cake.
You don't take Kirby's cake.
Yeah.
Cake is like a beloved, cherished pet.
Yeah,
But-
Is it pet cake?
there's an arc in One Piece that's kind of like that.
Ooh.
But there's something we haven't done yet, and that's I'm sorry. I know we just got on a little tangent, but we have not introduced our guest today. He just did the intro for the show. It's Ganon11. Ganon11, how are you? And tell
Hello.
us a little bit about yourself. You know.
I am doing well. I feel honored to be asked to co-host Margs with the Boys. I thank you so much for inducting me as guest boy. Yeah, my name is Ganon11. I like Zelda games and I like Metroid games. I've been playing games since like 1993.
How many games have you played?
At least 4.
Name them all.
Metroid,
Bro, you need a spreadsheet.
Zelda, Doom,
Oh yeah.
and Resident Evil.
Oh, I like Revenant Evil.
It was a knockoff of Resident Evil. I couldn't afford the real game.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand.
No, but I've played tons of games for decades now, actual decades. And I'm just very excited to talk about all of them. And
How many decades? Name them all.
while I was playing in the 90s, the
This one,
aughts,
last one.
the 10s, and now I'm playing games in the 20s.
Wow, that's
Roaring
that,
20s.
that does include decades. You are
That's
correct.
a lot of decades. That's it hasn't been 40 years. I haven't been playing games for 40 years. But
Oh my
across
god.
4 decades.
Don't say
40
that.
years.
Never say that again.
I'm sorry, Doug. You're also realizing I was also gaming in those
Yeah, I was like
4
90s,
decades.
2000s, 2010s. Oh no.
Oh no.
Who calls it the aughts? I do. What do you call it? The zeros?
The knots. I'm
The
taking
knots?
over.
The 2000s.
All
two-
right, UK.
Call it the 2000s.
But one thing's for sure, we did something last time. Thank you, Ganon. Welcome. And we're
Oh.
really excited to have you on here.
Please inform me what you did last time because I was not here.
So
That's true.
last time we actually
Roll up
did
in the
a show where we were predicting and talking about Nintendo Directs. proceeding the day after we recorded this, the Marks of the Boys. The day after we recorded Marks of the Boys, Nintendo said, "Hey, we're doing a direct, and it's like tomorrow." So we talked a lot about, like, a lot of stuff happened on the Nintendo Direct, and here, looking at my notes, I just want to see what we got right, like what we really got right. And the first thing that I see on here is Nintendo 64 games being put on the Nintendo Switch. We called it. We called it the day before, or 2 days before. That is officially true.
The patent information.
Are you saying
a controller?
Are you saying that we got a prediction right on the podcast?
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That means we have to end the show, right?
Wait, is that a rule?
Well, everyone, it's been real. Bye-bye.
No, but we knew about the patent for a controller, and like it was a subsequent number to their Super Nintendo controller patent for the Switch. So we were like,
yeah,
maybe it's N64, maybe it's GameCube, or something like that. And then Scootish was like, it's Game Boy Color, and we were like, no.
That'd be wild.
Scootish wanted Joy-Cons with screens on them, and I'm just like, what is going on right now?
Please don't bring back the Wii U.
Yeah. But the Direct came out, and there was some big shockers. So I just wanted to kind of recap that with you guys before we get into Metroid and talk about some of the big boys, some of the really big games that were released during the Direct that we did not talk about. And I think for me, the first thing that really like confused me, but also got me really excited, was The Last of Us 3 Kirby Edition.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, Kirby Dystopian Society open world platformer, where
post-apocalyptic Kirby.
Yes, I cannot believe it. Kirby and the Forgotten Realm. What do we have thoughts on this? If you want to, I can play the trailer because it's been a week or two. But
what's the first 3D Kirby in since like Crystal Shards or something on the N64?
No, this is the only 3D Kirby. The
ever?
First, yeah.
Oh, that was side scrolly too.
That was 3D, but it was locked to one. Like you could only walk right or you could only walk left. It was still
like 2.5D. Yeah.
2.5D.
First ever. Ooh.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where Kirby and the Forgotten Realm is the first Kirby game to be completely like you have the ability to control the camera. It's
Free roaming.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this kind of shocked my system because it's something that this is the definition of a Nintendo out of left field game. You know?
Yeah, which is I think they opened the Direct with this, which is like a classic Nintendo move. Like, hi, we haven't talked to you in however many months. Bam, completely new idea right out of the gate.
I mean, I think they opened. I don't think they opened it with it. I think they opened with like Zelda, whatever, Hyrule Warriors DLC, and they opened it. Didn't they? What did they actually announce it? Open with? I don't remember.
I think you're right. It might have been Hyrule Warriors, and then I think they talked about whatchamacallit, they talked about Smash and how that they were going to do the Direct, but there was no information that day.
Yeah. No, they opened with Monster Hunter Rise. They opened with Monster Hunter Rise, and then it was nothing, but Kirby was their first like big time like what just happened kind of thing. You know, they showed off games that they already were doing with like Mario Party and Mario Golf, but like Kirby was the big one that just came out of nowhere and confused the crap out of me. But
yeah, like all this other stuff is just expansions and all that.
Yeah, it was mostly previous titles, but Kirby was the one that came out. And again, you know, the game looks good. The game it looks fun.
Yeah, they're good at polishing up like a 3D world like that and making it look just very pretty and colorful and like saturated and stuff.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I think my major fear with it is that, like most Kirby games and past Kirby games, if I don't know how much you guys have played Kirby, but the games are very short a lot of the times. Where you know, the last Kirby game to come out on the Switch, Kirby All-Star Ally or whatever, is roughly, if you like 100%, a 6-hour game.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's actually the only Kirby game I've ever played, and I played it for about 30 minutes at a friend's place.
And you experienced like a quarter of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the game does look really good. I'm just hoping that it's like a substantial video game that I hope draws from my personal favorite Kirby game, which is not even a full Kirby game. Well, there's two. I have two personal favorite Kirby games. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, which if you don't know is a Metroidvania, is literally a Metroidvania Kirby game. It's really awesome. It's like an open world crazy game where you have to call like 4-player Kirby, whatever. And then the another open world Kirby game, which is a part of Superstar and Superstar Ultra, which is called the Great Cave Offense. It's a sub game from Kirby Superstar that is an open world Metroidvania game where you have to go back and forth throughout the game using specific like the world map, using specific power-ups. So I hope that since this is an open world game, or from what we can tell, it draws from those games, because in my opinion those are like the best of the Kirby games.
It looks a little like Odyssey, just watching the trailer again.
Yeah, it does give very like Odyssey vibes. For sure.
Odyssey was a good game.
True.
Yeah, so could be exciting. There's a lot to do in Odyssey, lots of worlds to explore, lots of little collectibles to do. So hopefully it's more than 6 hours if they can.
Yeah. I'd be happy with like a 14-hour to 20-hour main series Kirby game. I think that would make me happy. The other big thing that was released during the direct, which kind of caught my eye, was the fact that there was no Smash Brothers character announced, and that they announced that they're doing a Nintendo an Animal Crossing Direct during this month.
Yeah.
As of today's recording, we do know the Smash character, but that was kind of a big deal, you know?
Oh,
They
yeah.
waited.
Like, that was, I think, the principal complaint that all the Animal Crossing sort of fandom had was they wanted Brewster. Like, ever since the game launched, that's basically all I've heard, like, on the subreddit and stuff like that.
So as a like not seasoned Animal Crossing player, what is the hype behind Brewster?
What is a Brewster?
It's like if the game launched without like Gulliver. Like he's just kind of a mainstay of the series. He's just a character who's there, and like typically he has like a little cafe, either like in a museum or in New Leaf. You actually like had a standalone building that you could build for him after you like unlocked him, and then you could just go in there and like drink a coffee, hang out, and then sometimes like in New Leaf there's a mini game where like random villagers would come in, like yours, or even like random other villagers, and they would make a vague description of the coffee they wanted, and you had to guess it right. So it's just a little coffee shop. It's cute. It's fun. It's it's very sort of vibey Animal Crossing, like a lot of nothing, but people still love him.
As a millennial, I can tell you we love coffee shops.
True.
That's kind of hype. I just discovered coffee yesterday, and I gotta say, I have good reviews.
Yeah. What's your cup? What's your thing?
What's your cuppa?
Yeah.
Black coffee.
My man, let's go.
Nice. They also talked a little bit more about Splatoon 3. Still no release date on that, but they did bring back the scientist, so I'm very happy about that. That they've been
still have not listened to my feedback that they should rename it Splatoon.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Splatoon, though it's now a very consistent IP in Nintendo's world, where we now have 3 Splatoon games in the last since 2013. I think because Splatoon 1 came out in like 2013, if I'm correct, on the Wii U. It was like the year after it came out, if I'm correct. I don't really remember. But we have now 2 Splatoon games on the Nintendo Switch.
It was May 28th, 2015.
It was 2015? Oh, so it was end of
So
So
the last 6 years.
I think they may have announced it in 2013, and they did have a lot of like open betas leading up to it.
Okay, so Splatoon in the last 6 years is now going to have 3 video games in the franchise. Nintendo has put their money in on Splatoon. So I do appreciate the fact that they've stuck with the same exact marketing though. For the last 3 games where we are like these researchers, and it's very fun. So Splatoon is pretty cool. And then the last thing that, unless I'm missing something, that's very significant. The last thing is Bayonetta. I don't know how many of you guys are big Bayonetta fans, but finally, since 2017 is when they announced this game.
Yeah.
2017,
something like that.
I want to give Bayonetta a shot. I bought the collection on the Wii U when it launched, but I think I didn't play it very long, and then I sold it back to GameStop.
For like $1.
Because I was a poor gamer who wanted to get a different game. So I didn't have it for very long, but it was fun. It's kind of a hack and slashy, which I haven't always vibed with, but I think I want to like give the series another shot for sure.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. I do know that at least one of the games on the Wii, if you have the Wii U edition, it comes with like a Samus skin that you can play under. So hey, that relates back to our main theme.
Yes.
It's Bayonetta 3 specifically kind of falls in the same category to me as a lot of things, which is like I'm not personally excited for it, but I'm very excited that people who are excited for it got to see more details about it, got to see videos about it, got to see a release date. Like I know it's a super important series to a lot of people, so I was really happy to see that close out.
Yeah, it wasn't like that dodgeball game or whatever where I was like, this isn't for anybody. It's like Bayonetta's not a game that I'm personally excited for, but it was good to see,
see
people
I think I got a weird vibe from it because of the marketing leading up to Bayonetta 2 back in the day, when they were like partnered with Playboy and stuff like that, and I'm just like, what the heck is this? And so
it's
I think
not the wrong impression. You did not get the wrong impression.
It's very strange for Nintendo to latch onto that for like an exclusive third installment after that. It's very strange.
Yeah. I mean, the what got me very excited. I agree with you. I've never played a Bayonetta game. I know it's a big thing for a lot of people, but for me, it kind of also again ties back to our main theme. But Bayonetta 3 was announced the exact same direct as Metroid Prime 4. They showed me JPEGs.
They showed me specifically. None of you all. They showed me specifically a big 4 in space.
Yeah.
And I was throwing my wallet at the screen, and they won't take my money. They won't
They'll take more. They're gonna take it. They just need time. But like now that Bayonetta has an official release date, I know that Metroid had to restart their development process, but it can't be that far.
Was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, yeah. AAA games take a long time.
I just, the way I look at it, and I think Gannon, we live in the same headspace when it comes to this. Prime 3 is going to live up to its hype because they're Prime 4 will live up to its hype because of the fact that they're taking their time on it.
No, see, here's my headspace. I think they're actually going to cancel Prime 4 and announce that instead they're going to release Prime 5 so that every numbered Prime game will have a Prime number associated with it.
Wow.
3,000 IQ plays.
I like that, actually.
Because Prime 1 it's not actually 1.
It's just Metroid Prime.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just Metroid Prime, yeah.
No.
Metroid
So yeah,
Prime.
2, 3, 5, I like it. Then 7, 11.
Yeah, I'm in.
I like it.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to Prime 4. I'm excited that they eventually gave it to Retro Studios, because Retro Studios, for those who didn't know, did Prime 1 and Prime 2. Although, on the other hand, apparently all the development team that worked on Prime 1 and Prime 2 are no longer working at the company. So, but we'll see. Like we're totally diving into the Metroid thing. The fact that they're pouring so much time and energy into Metroid now makes me think that they're And the fact that they restarted development because they weren't satisfied with the direction of the game is like, that's a sign that says we're going to release a high quality game.
Yeah, it's not an easy decision to make, sort of fiscally or like reputationally or anything. But like, yeah, that definitely shows that they're willing to bite the bullet and be like, we want this to be amazing, and we're not satisfied, so we're gonna scrap it and restart.
And I've never been dissatisfied with a Retro Studios game.
They did the Donkey Kong Country Returns, or
Tropical Freeze,
Returns and Tropical Freeze. They also did Mario Kart 7, which was, in my opinion, the reboot of Mario Kart.
I like 7.
Yeah, they have done very good games. Like, they have made very good games. So it's one of those things where the fact that they made Metroid Prime 1, Prime 2, Prime 3, and like they made all the games, plus they also ported the first 2 games onto Wii, made them seamless. Like, in my opinion, Prime 1 and 2 play amazing on the trilogy. I'm not worried about it. I'm not. There it is. Yeah,
that's the one I couldn't find. Again,
very expensive game right there. Very expensive game.
Yeah, like and like Fusion and Zero Mission are
unless you're okay with getting the eShop version on the Wii U, which I think the last time I saw was still going for like $20.
That's how I have that one.
If you're okay with a digital version, $20.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Yeah, but anyway, why don't
games that are mostly all good?
No, well, which one do you not think? I mean, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll talk.
We'll get there.
We'll talk.
We got notes.
Yeah. So why don't we jump into it? Metroid. This is our main topic for the night, everybody. Metroid Dread comes out this week. It actually comes out tomorrow if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on the internet. Metroid comes out tomorrow. I am immensely excited entirely because of the developers of this game. We're gonna get to it, but we wanted to have Ganon11 on and Duggernaut on it. I'm going to shamelessly, not even shamelessly, I'm gonna plug Ganon11 and Duggernaut are actually part of a Metroid charity marathon that they do consistent Metroidvania content throughout the year, doing charities. Raising money for charities, playing those games, showcasing those games. And in my opinion, the 2 people in my life that are the biggest Metroid fans I have in this call with us right here. So there's no 2 better people to be involved with when it comes to talking Metroid. TB is of course here too.
Yeah. And see, when I watch the direct, I always have my fingers crossed for something, and piggybacking off Ganon and Doug with their physical copies of things that they keep holding up on.
Where's your Persona copy?
Where's mine? Yeah, wait, are you the only one? I think TB's the only one that hasn't had a dream come true on Margs yet.
Yeah, well, because my dreams are severely unrealistic. Like. This is what I'm hoping.
Golden Sun, let's go.
Golden Sun.
Let's go. All right, I'm here for that.
But that won't happen.
Yeah, but we wanted to talk today about the lead up to Metroid Dread or Metroid 5, whatever you want to call it. And I think the first thing is let's just jump right in to the entire series.
So as somebody who has never played a single Metroid game in their life, minus a demo that came built onto the original Nintendo DS. That's the only experience I've ever had with Metroid. What is Metroid to like you guys? Like what does it mean, and like what is the experience that you love so much about it?
Okay. I love that you're here. I love that you can provide this sort of layman's perspective. You can ask the right questions for folks who also are not familiar with the franchise. So very exciting stuff. I'll let you start, Ganon, since I'm happy to be lumped in with you, but you are you set up the whole Metroid marathon. Like, it's your baby. You're not just part of it. You are most of it, I would say.
I'm sorry. It's my baby.
The baby.
It's my baby.
Yeah, here's some Metroid humor for everyone.
Okay. Yeah, and also for our audio listeners, I held up a plush knitted thing that represents the Metroid baby from Super Metroid. It's a visual pun but you don't get that if you're an audio listener. And I empathize with you.
So there are,
as an audio listener, I empathize with you.
So there are baby Metroids in addition to like normal Metroids.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Metroids, TV.
Metroid is two entirely different questions.
So so you asked like what is the thing I value about Metroid games, and I'll expand that to Metroidvania games. I think the thing that I really enjoy about the games themselves is a combination of fast movement, like both reflex and strategy based movement and interaction with the environment, quick combat, but also kind of simple combat as well. A feeling of empowerment, a constant feeling of like you are getting stronger throughout the game. You start off feeling like I can barely deal with the things around me, and you end the game like I am a machine of destruction that wreaks havoc upon everything around me. That sense of progression is represented well in every game. I think those are some of like the core gameplay experiences that really get me excited about the Metroid games, and then also about Metroidvania games in the same genre.
Okay, so your description gave me vibes of like a gameplay style that I am familiar with, and correlating to this to my experience, it opens up a question: is Dark Souls a Metroidvania?
It is kind of like the feeling of empowerment is definitely there.
Yeah,
and you talked about sort of powering up and getting new combat abilities, but you also get new traversal abilities as well in Metroidvania generally. So like you might get, a higher jump, you might get I don't know, like a double jump or whatever. You might get like
the ability to like crawl up walls.
Yeah, you might be able to grip onto things and be able to like grab ledges and stuff. So like sort of like opening up shortcuts in Dark Souls is kind of like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very much like that. Like there's this isolation aspect to it where like in most of the games you're kind of very much alone and you're exploring this very hostile world, and like you can usually tell when you're not supposed to be in an area yet if you don't have the right upgrades, and like sometimes it'll be too hot and you'll be taking damage constantly, and
you need to get I can stand the hot weather upgrade.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very much like I feel like Dark Souls and Metroidvanias have a lot in common in that way, where it's definitely about getting stronger and feeling a little bit more at home. Well, like because every new area you enter, usually in both of those sort of genres, is very good at communicating to you that you don't belong there, and this is going to be a new challenge to you.
It will immediately chump check you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So like it's about like getting your own skill to improve along with the character's skill. It's very good.
But my favorite thing about I'll say most. I'm gonna say or a lot of Metroidvanias, and this is including Metroid. I want to when I just played Hollow Knight is a great example as well. A lot of times when they do that thing where they chump check you, where they're just like you aren't supposed to be here, they still allow you to do it if you're good enough. And that is my favorite thing about the Metroidvania genre, as well as Metroid. All of the games do this, is most of the time, you can still go do something you're not supposed to do, and it doesn't destroy the game. It
Absolutely. It really lends itself to sort of repeat playthroughs and speed running and stuff like that, because they do sort of a lot of times leave in little hooks for you to like be able to go to an area that you shouldn't be able to do, but if you're very good and you know exactly where everything is, you could still probably be able to traverse.
Yeah, and we can talk about sequence breaking, which is still a different category from glitches. I mean, every game's gonna have glitches, but sequence breaking seems to be something that some Metroid games really embrace as an alternate way to play. Which is it's cool. It's fun to find those things. It's fun to exploit those things.
One of those
it's like a meta way of feeling empowered. Like now you the player feel empowered because your character's getting stronger, but now also you the player feel empowered because you have mastered some trick about the game that the game wasn't necessarily very forthcoming about. And that makes you feel smart, and that makes the brain shoot the happy things, and then
my brain loves shooting the happy things when I think the developer did not want me to be here. Like, for example,
right.
I recently just played Metroid Zero Mission again on stream, and I did it on hard mode, in which I still, as much as I had a hard time in the later half of it, I did really enjoy the hard mode aspect of the game, and it's not that bad. But I ended up beating Ridley, who was the last boss you're supposed to beat before the final boss, like in order. In reality, you're supposed to go Kraid, then Ridley, whatever. I ended up beating him first because Ganon kind of walked me through how to sequence break a whole section. And a lot of the time, chat, after 2 hours of me trying to beat this boss, chat's like, you gotta stop. Just go find some E. Go find more missiles. Go do something.
Find some E.
I was getting literally two-shot by this guy. But for me, it's getting through that. It's that getting through that I should not be here. It's that dopamine that I overcame something that I wasn't supposed to do, and then I was rewarded with something that made the fights later in the game so easy because I was supposed to do them way earlier.
For sure. That's another thing. Like maybe one of the bullet points that Gannon was throwing out. Secrets, like having little like nooks and crannies and like little like things you might not be able to find normally, but then you do. Like you're like, I'm gonna bomb this wall because it looks a little suspicious, and then it opens up and you're like, oh my gosh, like I can go in and get a new thing and like a new power up and I get stronger, and I feel like I've bested the developers because I found this cool thing that they hid there, but I found it because I'm a super sleuth and I've got this Metroid vision now that I can be suspicious of an area that I think has things in it.
Yeah.
And as someone who has just recently been playing through Dark Souls 3 as the first Dark Souls game I've ever played, I've taken that Metroid secret finding vision into Dark Souls, and I sometimes I tell people, because it's true, this is the first time I'm playing this game. I've never played this game before, but sometimes I'm just like, this wall doesn't feel like it's actually a wall. It's a secret, and it opens up, and I'm like, yes. Yeah. We can ignore the 90% of the time where I say it's a secret and it's just a regular wall.
And you clank, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Out of curiosity, why did you pick 3 rather than starting with like 1?
Because someone told me, someone basically told me you're probably not going to get the story on your first playthrough without like looking up wiki stuff.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to spoil yourself on 1 if you play 3 first.
Yeah, every story is all well contained, but within itself.
Yeah.
So
and then they basically said 3 is like maybe, in their opinion, the most mechanically solid, or maybe the most mechanically
friendly.
Yeah, it's got the most like quality
intro.
of life.
Yeah.
Sure.
Really? I think I also have been playing a little bit of Dark Souls 3 lately, and this is my first time playing it, but I have beaten Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 1 for me is like, I just want to keep playing it. Like I did not want to put that game down.
I love Dark Souls 1.
I think the first one I think has the best level design.
Absolutely.
It's open world, where Dark Souls 3 is level based, even though it's not really.
Dark Souls 3, well, since you can teleport from the start essentially anywhere, like it's more of a central hub with spokes coming out of it in 3.
Yeah.
But then 1 is like it's fully interconnected. There's like 5 different ways to go anywhere, and like if you just know about the way to get to Blighttown that someone else doesn't, like it's very cool. Like you can go sort of sequence breaking from the get-go, which is very interesting. It's very good.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in Dark Souls, and this is off topic, but is like that kind of sequence breaking, and like if you want to, if you're on your second playthrough New Game Plus, where everything's going to be kind of scaled around the same level, as opposed to where the like progression from the first playthrough, everything's going to be like at a similar level. So you can sequence break, you can do like the DLC before you do a lot of the bosses, or like you can fight one of the 4 lords, and this is kind of like stuff that Ganon might not know playing the first game, but like one of the end game bosses could be your first your first boss, just because like you have learned the map and you know how to get places.
And you get that master key.
I think I haven't finished my playthrough of Dark Souls 3 yet. But even so, I already think like I definitely want to play Dark Souls 1.
Yeah,
I'll be a little bit more cautious about Dark
Yeah.
Souls 2 since I've heard that's kind of the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
But then like I want to devour Sekiro. I want to try some of the other Souls-like games. Like I've been having just a blast with it.
2 is still good. It's still a very wonderful game. They just tried, like, they tweaked a few of the mechanics of things, and they might have gone a little bit too far because they definitely walked it back for 3. For a lot of them.
Yeah.
But
They got a little carried away with
Yeah.
with stuff, and it makes it borderline unfair at times. Where 1 and 3 are very fair. Like if you make a mistake, you know what mistake you made. Whereas sometimes in the second one, it's like, okay, I had no opportunity to do anything.
I remembered I had one more physical game to add to my.
Oh, that's a good game. That's a good game.
Yeah.
Favorite one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Sorry
Nice.
to distract.
Yeah, let's. Well, no, this is great to keep TB engaged. We're making all these sort of comparisons.
TB
to
says,
Dark Souls.
TB says game is fair, but then I remember Bed of Chaos, and I'm just like,
I mean, fair versus like a development crunch. Like, it's a little different.
Anyway.
But so like one of my favorite things about Dark Souls is like the ability to like take a step further and like read everything you get and like learn subtle tidbits about the world building and start connecting these pieces together. How does that compare to the world building and story out of the Metroid series then?
Scanning.
So, yeah, the first few games, you really had to pull that out of like the manual. Had a lot of very good information in the first couple games. In Super Metroid, there's a lot of sort of visual stuff that you can sort of pay attention to. There's like saving the animals is a very famous sort of incentive that they use at GDQ for Super Metroid. So that's a fun little story thing that does come into play in Fusion, in the game that follows that. So canonically, they do get saved. But in the Prime series is where all this sort of optional lore comes into play. They throw in a lot of very interesting things with like the space pirates are the sort of the main enemy of the series. And you'll find that there's lots of just different consoles and things like that. There's this brand new scanning visor that they
bonus game.
Well, I guess it's not brand new.
This is a Metroid game now because
Why
it was
is
in the
that
same
in
box.
Metroid
So,
question.
This is the first I'm hearing of space pirates. I thought like all the enemies were like some variety of like alien taking over planets, and like what's the deal with the space pirates?
We should we give like a very brief overview of all
Absolutely.
of the Metroid lore, or at least maybe an introduction to the first game, because I think we can answer a lot of questions just by talking about maybe the setup for the first entry into the series.
For sure. And then that will also explain what a Metroid is as well, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know what they look like. That's about my experience.
It looks like cute jellyfish. Look at that. They're so adorable.
It's some kind of alien.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some kind of. This is yet another tangent, but you guys, sometimes you got to look up the supercut of every time in Star Trek they say some sort of or some kind of. It's absurd. It's hilarious. Okay, so I won't read you the prologue word for word, but basically in the setup for the original Metroid game, in the manual, this is the manual for Zero Mission, which is the remake of the original game.
Yep.
They explained that in the year 20XD5 of the cosmic calendar, the space pirates attacked a deep space research vessel and seized samples of an unknown species that had been discovered on planet SR388 that were known simply as Metroids. Okay. And you, the player character Samus, are tasked to go and defeat the Metroid menace and their kind of head of defense, the mechanical life form known as Mother Brain. Okay. And that's it. That's all you're given for the first game, is just space pirates stole something called Metroids. Go kill the Metroids and Mother Brain, period.
Good luck.
Okay. So,
good luck. Yeah.
So that's so that takes the first game takes place entirely on like an abandoned ship then.
And it's on a
planet.
On a
planet. Yeah.
planet
but
that,
the ship crashed on the planet.
well, the
Is that
ship
right?
was robbed by the
Yeah.
pirates who took it to their home base on this planet.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then so what you are a bounty hunter that was hired, I guess, by the Galactic Federation to take care of these space pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you are the the baddest bounty hunter in the land. And actually the manual is very, very clever in, well, it's not super clever, but like they keep referring to Samus as a man. They keep saying he in the original manual for the NES to preserve the surprise that actually Samus is a woman, which is very
Okay.
cool.
Spoilers.
Well,
No,
sorry,
I haven't played
spoilers for a
Metroid.
35-year-old game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was a big reveal because like once you beat the game, I think it's if you do it fast enough, you get the opportunity to play through again, without the armor, and then you see that, oh, I'm I'm in a leotard, I'm a lady with long hair, like that's very cool.
Yeah, and the faster you beat it, this is a little bit embarrassing, but it is how many of the early games work. The faster you beat it, the less clothes Samus is wearing in the like ending cutscene. And
Sort
so,
of
if
fan-service-y, yeah.
yeah, NES pixel fan servicey.
Yeah.
But that's how you kind of first realized in the first game, if you beat it fast enough, then Samus's armor would come off and she was wearing this kind of leotard thing, and you were like, Samus is a girl. I was
Yeah.
playing a badass girl this whole time. What? And for 1986, that's pretty monumental.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to
Yeah.
hunt down sort of the lieutenants of Mother Brain first, Ridley and Kraid, which are recurring bosses throughout the series. Defeat them, and they'll give you like a bunch of upgrades and things like that whenever you do that. And then once you do that, that unlocks the door to Torian, where Mother Brain is sort of situated because she's not very mobile. She's just a brain in a jar, as of the first game, and you have to take her out as well. And she's surrounded by these Metroids, which you finally meet near the end of the game and find out that they are these sort of jellyfish-like floating creatures that also suck out energy from things. And
They
that's
suck.
sort of-
They're
They
such
suck.
hard
They-
enemies.
yeah,
They're
they
the
sort of
big
latch
suck.
on, and their only weakness is cold. They're only weak to the
Oh,
cold. So you
okay.
get a special ice beam is one of the many upgrades that you can acquire. And in the first game and the second game, you actually have to you can only have one type of beam at a time. So you have to go get the ice beam and come back if you upgrade it to a different weapon. And that's the only you have to freeze them and then hit them with missiles to kill them. So they're very much they have a mechanic.
They fixed that in the future games where you could switch between beams, which is really great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
very
just have
quality of life
multiple
upgrade.
effects
Yeah.
applied all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Metroid introduced the idea of Spazer and Wave Beam and stuff like that, all
Okay.
Yeah.
stacking. And someone explain why they are reoccurring bosses. Well, because they're sort of like mascots in the series. Like they find a way to sort of revive them every game.
Yeah,
Okay.
they talk about how these lieutenants, it's a good word to use, are like kind of they're bosses. They're bosses in a video game sense, but they're also kind of bosses of the space pirates for whatever reason. These creatures who are visually distinct from space pirates
They have-
are sorry.
They've aligned themselves with the space pirates.
Yeah, and kind of become captains or lieutenants or
Okay.
heads of these things. Ridley in particular is shown to be kind of the person in charge of the space pirates. And so there's kind of an obsession with going and retrieving his almost lifeless body and resurrecting him to throw him at Samus again so that Samus can kill him again. So that then this time we'll make him a robot dragon, and it never works.
And later on, you find out, I mean, this is again, we're jumping a little bit, but later on, you
We're
find
jumping
out that Ridley is very much tied to Samus and Samus's history, past and all that.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
They have beef as well.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of special stuff about Samus as well. She was raised by
Birds.
a race of bird aliens called the Chozo. And they are the ones who gifted her the armor. They infused her with their DNA to make her stronger, and all that stuff.
And no, that still doesn't make sense to me. But
no,
Yeah.
it's weird. So she's sort of like not a cyborg, but I guess she's some kind of I
some
don't
kind of
know a word.
hybrid.
Yeah, like hybrid or enhanced in that way, which is very
Yeah.
cool as well.
So the initial setup and the universe building, kind of draws two comparisons in my mind that I find very like closely like similar, and that is the Alien franchise of movies,
Yep. I would have guessed you would say that. Yes.
and also the Dead Space franchise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Ooh.
think very much like it already very much drew from Alien, both with like having
Yeah,
a
very much
female
so.
protagonist. Sort of like Ridley is pretty shaped like kind of like a xenomorph a little bit as well.
And like the Ridley and Ripley kind of sound similar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
one letter apart. Um, yeah, they
Also,
definitely
Alien's a
drew
great
from that
movie.
for sure. And
I
like
love Alien so much.
Alien Resurrection, which I'm sure people would prefer didn't exist,
Oh
but
yeah.
like they get into like, cloning and stuff like that. And that's also a way that Ridley has brought back is like through cloning and like pupating in this, well, I don't know if Other
Yeah.
M is canon, but like they do sort of bring him back in many different ways, including cloning.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
Yeah.
Other M when
Yeah.
we get to Other M.
Absolutely.
Where
Got bullet points.
whereas Dead Space takes more like a cosmic horror approach to that, where like all of it is very like cerebral and like in the main character's mind.
Yeah, it
Man,
definitely
Dead
like
Space.
relies a lot on sort of like unreliable narrator type stuff,
Okay.
where you're inside Isaac's head and like it's not going great in there because he's been
Yeah.
affected by like the monolith or whatever it's called, the
Yeah.
obelisk,
Yeah.
and he's been through a lot of grief as well, which I mean you don't
Mhm.
there's there's space magic and stuff that can affect you, but also like actual real life thing is grief can really mess you up and
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
make it hard for you to do things.
But moving, we have Metroid 1 or Metroid Zero mission that
Yes.
that came out. End of the game, Samus is saves or destroys the planet Zeb's and then heads off thinking that she completely killed and killed all the Metroids. Correct?
Well, she knows she solved the problem.
Yes.
She
Right,
solved the
she-
problem. She defeated the space pirates.
Yes.
She defeated
Okay.
the space pirates and she killed the Metroids that the space pirates had stolen to try. The space pirates were going to try and turn them into some kind of bioweapon. And of course, they're very dangerous, so they were probably going to be successful with that. So we had to stop the pirates. We did. We beat the pirates. Good job, Samus. You
And one of the
completed your
bullet
mission.
points, one of the bullet points from the series as well that could be added to that list that Canon so lovingly put together at the beginning of this super long recap of what the series is there's usually like an escape sequence as well. Whenever you finish the
Yeah.
game, you have 60 seconds to get out or whatever it is.
Yep.
And so like that's how you know you blew up the facility because it's about to like self-destruct essentially. So
Yeah.
um,
Time
you-
bomb set, get out fast is
Exactly.
the text that you're given in the first game.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
that's
that's
something that's something that and I'm seeing a lot of inspiration from Metroid in like Halo then, because
Oh, yeah.
they follow that kind of thing where like the
That is
flood
the
are
law.
here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then you gotta destroy the flood, so you gotta set these bombs and get out really fast.
Mhm.
Like, so yeah, it's
that's
cool to
true.
see this inspiration drawn out upon that. But another interesting connection I'm drawing here is like Mass Effect as well, because like at the end of the first game you find out like you figure out the secret, there's like one Reaper and you defeat it and whatever. Then you find out like, oh, but this is a whole species of these like ultra deadly aliens that are from deep
Mhm.
space, and they're coming,
It,
like
it
Yeah,
may
all these-
be
all these
invaded by the
sci-fi
other
games.
Reaper.
All these
Yeah.
sci-fi
Yeah.
games are very
Yeah.
very much draw on one another. It's very cool, and
Yeah.
like movies as well. But yeah, and
and
then
I guess this is just like one core stepping stone that I've missed along the way.
yeah, I mean, you probably could play Metroid right now and be like, man, this game is full of tropes, but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
really, like it started most of them.
You should
which
play
is
this
very cool.
game.
Yeah.
You should play this game.
Yeah,
Anyway.
like yeah, that's a very good entry in the series. But then they wanted to follow it up, and also they wanted to have the Super Game Boy, the sort of attachment that plays Game Boys on the Super Nintendo. They wanted to have both of those sort of be best friends. So they came up with Metroid 2, which was the sequel to Metroid 1, which is very exciting. Like people were very excited about that.
Yep.
And the idea was that okay, now Samus is going to go to the home world because the Metroids were stolen from the space station and then brought to this planet Zebes, it's called. But their origin is this other planet, SR388. So let's have Samus go to SR388 and wipe them all out. Let's get rid of all the Metroids, and that's her next sort of
Proved genocide. Let's go.
That's her next bounty hunt, is to go and do that, because they're clearly, they could be used for evil. They could be, engineered into a bioweapon. We've got to get rid of this this parasite that exists in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So are the Metroids by default, are they like hostile to foreign life? And are they like
they're a
they
predator,
pretty much
definitely.
they pretty much attack and kill anything they can kind of get their little spiky teeth on.
Yes, I believe canonically they sent several sort of teams to the planet to destroy the Metroids, and none of them, returned. Like, they were all killed by the Metroids.
And one of the reasons is because all of them had been, so going into the story more of this, all of them had been armed with Samus's reports that said their one weakness is cold. Go take your cold weaponry and deal with them. And that works when they look like this.
Yeah.
But in Metroid 2, you start seeing Metroids, you start realizing that this is actually a larval form and that they further evolve. And this is something that isn't really visited much in other games. It's mostly in this game, a little bit in Fusion and a little bit in Other M. But these evolved forms no longer have that cold weakness, and so none of the teams that went in were really prepared. And so they say, Samus, we, the Galactic Federation, have decided these are too dangerous to leave alive. We can't kill them ourselves. We're hiring you again. Go kill every Metroid.
Go literally eradicate an entire species on a planet.
Absolutely.
And they did this on a Game Boy game. Not a Game Boy Color, not a Game Boy Advance, Game Boy game.
Yeah, so this game
and it's good. Like, that's I cannot stress to you guys how blown away. I played originally I first played the entire Metroid series back in 2017. I started with Zero Mission, played a little bit of Metroid 1, but not them really. Played Super Metroid, whatever. Played like the entirety leading up to Samus 2 or Return of Samus, or Samus Returns. And at the end of my entire thing, so the final 3 games that I played were Metroid 2, a fan game that we're going to talk about in a bit, and Samus Returns. And I was actively blown away by the fact that this Game Boy game literally is a mobile version of all of these previous games. Now remind you, not only did I play Super Metroid, not only did I play Zero Mission, not only did I play like Prime and the entire Prime trilogy before I played this game, but I was just blown away by how amazing of a video game this Game Boy game was.
Yeah, it's a technical achievement. Like, it's very beautiful. It's very sprawling. It's quite a large map that you're going through here.
It's a big game.
And it's very different from the other Metroid games in that it's much more linear, because you don't want to end up like fighting the hardest sort of evolutions of the Metroid very early. But it's like that, and also like it doesn't have like the space pirates in it at all. Like, it is all just Samus, completely alone, completely cut off from, like, you don't interact with any human beings. There's not really much text except for maybe like, oh, this is an energy ball or whatever, like whenever you pick up an upgrade or something like that. But like, there's not really much, like, there's no interaction with anyone. It's completely isolated, very much like an Aliens type thing. Like, you're very isolated, and you're completely alone, just doing your job here, your bounty, and you do it. You eradicate the Metroids. Like, you kill every single one except one.
So I wanted to quickly point out, I shared an image in our chat, and then in the Twitch chat, audio listeners, I'm sorry, it is an image-based thing. We drew earlier on the similarities between Alien and Aliens in the Metroid universe. This is the Queen Metroid that is the final boss of the game. And if that isn't a direct inspiration from the Queen alien xenomorph in Aliens, then I don't know what is.
Yeah,
like, it's so clear to me.
It's huge. It's like it's got a very long neck, like, and it loves to. Well, it doesn't have like I don't think it has a second set of jaws, but maybe it should.
It's got big spiky claws. It's very intimidating. Yeah.
And it's a very it's my favorite, I think, entry in the series, just because it's very different from sort of the typical formula, you might say, where you're fighting space pirates and running around a planet, and it's much more linear. But like
Ooh.
it's an achievement, and like I think it did a pretty good job selling the Super Game Boy as well, because it had like bonus features with that too.
Color.
And it was it's got a very good color scheme.
Yeah.
And it's just very impressive with like how much they accomplished, on a tiny Game Boy cartridge. And also, it's responsible for a lot of the iconic imagery of the series, because that's where her sort of big shoulder on her armor aesthetic came from. Because since you only have 4 colors on a Game Boy, 4 grayscale colors for the most part, if someone's playing on the brick Game Boy screen or the Game Boy Pocket, you can't really indicate that, like, oh, you've got an armor upgrade by changing its color. So what they did is they changed its
You
shape.
gotta make it bigger.
Yeah, they just made her shoulders look different, and she does actually change color, but you can't see that unless you're on the Super Game Boy. So buy one of those. And so that's responsible for like possibly her biggest her biggest shoulders, but like her biggest most iconic part of her armor is the huge shoulders.
Yeah, especially in games like Prime. I mean, Prime, the shoulders, the very, very prominent.
So and they don't show up until you get the suit upgrade in Prime, just like in Metroid 2.
Yeah. So so the Metroids, are they like an intelligent species with like a motivation to like take over the galaxy universe?
No,
whatever.
not really. It's mostly just like Predator's instinct.
Yeah. Okay.
Think like
but
lions and tigers, but
planet.
life-sucking lions and tigers and bears.
Yeah, like they're not trying to get off the planet. They're just trying to, kill every threat to them, essentially.
Yeah.
They're hunting. They're hunting and they're eating.
So then that raises a question of like, because you go to their home planet in 2, and you said Prime takes place between 1 and 2, is that correct?
Yeah, why don't we go through
what happens in between?
Yeah, why don't we can we go quickly through from between Metroid 1 and Metroid 2, because I feel like we're going to get the Super and we're going to get the Fusion, but like
we can go sort of in chronological timeline order versus going in chronological release order.
Yeah,
I think
I would prefer that. That helps me get a better understanding of the world.
Yeah,
I kind of want to go like really quickly through these, because something we're going to talk about when we get to Dread is that like the main story, the quote unquote main storyline of Metroid that Dread is going to be putting a capstone on does not involve these games.
At all.
It is Metroid 1, Metroid 2, Super Metroid, and then Metroid Fusion.
And we can come back when Prime 4 finally gets a release date, and we can talk about, more in-depth versions of the Prime trilogy. But I do think we should talk about them and figure out, discuss how they fit in, because it's a number one question I always get is why, and this is the big question I've been getting a lot lately, is why is it called Metroid 5 Dread when there's been so many Metroid games?
Well, why is it called Kingdom Hearts 3? Like
exactly.
These are all like side stories and stuff.
First of all, how dare you compare Metroid's naming scheme and story complexity to Kingdom Hearts?
There's no Metroid 2.8 final chapter prologue.
From what I can tell, like in comparison, Metroid isn't as near as much of a mess as Kingdom Hearts.
It's a mess, TB. It's a mess.
This is with love and respect and knowledge that people are super into Kingdom Hearts, and I may one day be super into Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, I love Kingdom Hearts.
Y'all gotta grapple with the fact that it's a mess.
Yeah,
but Metroid's a mess too. There's a game called Other M, and we'll get into that. We'll get into it.
Okay. So back on topic. What purpose in the like story is Metroid Prime?
Okay.
Like it's
I'll
a
throw
side
my
story
theory, and then let Gannon like give what is probably the real answer. But like I think it's twofold. First, like they had just eradicated all of them in the second game, so maybe we should have some of the titular Metroids in the game. So let's squeeze it between like the games where they were in and the games where they were all killed. So maybe we can have some. And I think 2 is they wanted to be able to maybe just pull the plug on Prime if it was not as good as it could be, as it ended up being. because they hadn't yet trusted another studio, especially not an American studio like Retro Studios, with the Metroid franchise. And so they're like, okay, let's give you a side story that
Do you
happens
count
between
Deer
games 1 and
Force
2.
as
What's
a
that?
difference? Do you count Deer Force as a different studio? I don't know.
What did they do?
Super.
Oh, they did Super? Well, I don't know
Yeah.
then. Okay, they
Yeah.
had
Who
well,
knows?
okay, so they well, they had
the big thing was it
This
was
is a
a jump to
huge thing.
3D, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too. Like they were like, if this
Yeah.
3D thing doesn't work out, especially for like the design of a Metroid game, and they're going back to 2D for Dread, you have to remember.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they were like, if this sucks or if this doesn't work, like then it can be its side thing and it's not part of the main story, I think. But continue, Gannon, please give us the real answer.
I think you're right. I think the
Okay.
real answer is that Doug is right. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Everyone.
First
So,
ever.
They
That's
wanted
funny.
to expand the franchise, but also didn't want to take away anything from the core franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an experiment, I think. The 3D
Yeah.
especially.
Successful experiment.
So to just to give you a little perspective here, TB. Prime, the Nintendo Metroid Prime came out like after, like in the year wise, after Super Metroid. There was not a game before that, or I'm sorry, there was not another
It
game.
came out the same day as Fusion as well. Like Prime and Fusion came out on the
which
same
is
day.
funny
Fusion being Metroid 4.
because Fusion, is Metroid 4. And in fact, that's what I was just about to talk about. In my copy, this is a day one copy of Metroid Prime, because even though I did not play it, I bought it, or it was a gift from whoever, did not play it. It has a thing that says top secret confidential subject Metroid. I don't know if you have this in yours, Gannon, or if you got rid of it. But it literally has Metroid Fusion, an all new Metroid adventure only on Game Boy Advance. And it talks about how...
Oh, I have that, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It talks about Metroid 4, a.k.a. Fusion, on the Game Boy Advance. And the story and all that jazz. It also talks about how it can link up to this game. But anyway, let's get back to Metroid Prime.
So-
Well, they double dipped, and that was
So-
very unusual.
while they're taking a detour from like the main story, there's still Metroids in the Prime series.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what I would
And
say is,
they're just scattered throughout the galaxy, and she's like hunting them
Yeah.
down.
Well, once
Um,
again, it's space pirates are to blame here. You go to a
Okay.
brand new planet in Prime 1, which is, I guess it's not their HQ, but it is a space pirate kind of
It's like an
stronghold.
outpost. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's called Talon 4, but completely new planet. So
Where I
once
live.
again, if it fell apart, like they can
Yeah.
back away from it
walk it back.
and call it its own sort of island of a thing.
Yeah, so the big story element in the main games, the Metroid 1, Metroid 2, Super Metroid Fusion, is obviously Metroids. You're dealing with the problem of Metroids in the universe. The main problem you're grappling with in the Prime series, although Metroids are still there, is a new story element called Phazon. And
Okay.
Phazon is very spacey, sci-fi,
Yeah.
worldy
It's really
stuff.
cool.
It's like really strong radioactive material.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a corrupting.
It's
sort
a
of
blue goop, TB, dude. It's a blue goop, and it's
Okay.
sick.
blue
Yeah.
goo in a
Yeah.
video game.
And so, Metroids are there, and kind of the main threat is that space pirates have once again stolen Metroids, and now they're like exposing Metroids to Phazon, which is making them even deadlier.
Okay.
But the space pirates didn't create Phazon; they discovered Phazon. And so throughout the series, you kind of end up learning more about the origins of this Phazon, and in Prime 3 end up destroying the source of Phazon and saving the galaxy from this completely different threat.
Yeah.
Although, of course, all of them are intertwined with Metroids being corrupted by Phazon, and the final bosses of several of the games are Phazon corrupted Metroids. The final boss of Metroid Prime is Metroid Prime, which is a Phazon corrupted Metroid.
Oh, okay.
There's a cool element where at the end of Prime 1, the Phazon somehow sucks part of Samus's energy away, and then you have to escape the planet. And that sucked away energy combines with the Phazon to turn into a new entity, which has plagued the series and has appeared in Smash Brothers. That's right, this is the origin of Dark Samus.
Oh,
who ends up being the boss of Prime 2 and kind of the boss of Prime 3.
Okay.
Um,
So and that deals into like cloning
Yeah.
and science. So
Yeah, and that brings in the idea also of Samus sort of fighting herself at times as well, which we'll get into a lot in Fusion.
so
Yeah.
like
and this game.
That's too.
so
and
so
this
the
game.
pirates, the space pirates are like an organization that is using science to try and like gain power to like hold stuff over other like organizations and like governments throughout the world.
Yeah, like take over the
Yeah.
galaxy
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing.
Think of like an entire race of like lobster mad scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
So
what I
what-
like like what I really like about the Prime trilogy, and I know that and this kind of goes on what Ganon11 says, is you fight so many Metroids and so many like crazy different variants and everything that if you think about timeline wise, it just kind of makes sense that the Galactic Federation would say, please just go kill them all. Just go get rid of them.
There's lots of different ways that they've bioengineered the Metroids to be weapons. And yeah, to Jiggy's point, like they're like, we got to put a stop to this at the source.
We gotta
and
stop.
the Galactic Federation is a very like lawful force, just trying to keep everything kind of under control, so nobody like gets crazy technological and like takes over.
I'm gonna answer yes and put a pin in that for later.
Yeah,
because that might be fleshed out in
it's very
Prime
much
4.
like original
Yeah.
Metroid. It's like, oh, it's space. There's a Galactic Federation, but
Oh,
they really
okay.
they fleshed that out. Like,
There's development for the Federation then.
Metroid does a
Absolutely, like-
really good job,
perfect.
and that's something for me, TB, and it's something world building or universe building in this case is extremely well done in Metroid. Whether you're like Ganon and Doug, where you will scan every little thing in Metroid because you want, or you're like me, where I'm just like, wow, look, spaceship.
I'm more like you than you might know.
And if I get into Metroid, I'd very much be the former, where I like try and like piece together like these different components of the universe and how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm trying to piece together through your descriptions right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And there's a lot of that you can learn from using the scan visor. And like, you're infiltrating a lot of space pirate bases as well. So you're learning sort of their perspective on things and why they're doing things, what, they're the fruit of their research. There's a very famous like entry of them trying to mimic Samus's suit and its capabilities, especially the morph ball, which, is sort of them acknowledging like how does this work? In that they say like, oh, we're trying to make the morph ball work for us, and 4 or 5 space pirates have suffered catastrophic injuries,
just being
in
crushed
in our attempts to prototype it.
Yeah.
And so that's I don't remember the trope for that, but like there is a way of acknowledging and then just dismissing something, and that's exactly what they're doing there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then moving on, back to the main story after Metroid 2,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to
So you kill the queen.
Yeah, and you
and that's the final.
Eradicate in air quotes.
In the bottom right corner of the screen is the count of Metroids on the planet the whole time. So it starts at 39. As you kill Metroids, that number goes down.
Throughout the whole game?
Through the whole game. It's always there on the HUD. It's very cool. And so you can tell like how far you are. You're like, I started at 39, now I'm at, or 34, I think. And now, it's at 27, and now it's at 16 or whatever. And then it gets down to 1, and then it jumps back to 9. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then you find a bunch of larval ones have shown up, and you have to kill them. And then you get to the queen at number 1 again. You kill her, it's down to 0, it's great. You're escaping the planet, and you find an egg.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And inside the egg, a baby Metroid hatches out, and the number goes back to 1, but it doesn't attack you. It imprints on you. You're its mother now. So
you're its mother.
Interesting.
So being compassionate, you're like, well, I mean,
so you can possibly like shape their motivations.
Yeah. So this one, like, and you can feed it as well. Like, it's not trying to eat your energy. There's food around that is scattered that it actually helps you get through places because there's like these blocks in the way, and it helps you escape the planet. So it's not a traditional escape sequence because it's not timed. In Metroid 2, again, a difference from the other games, but so you have now a baby Metroid, which features highly in the story of the following games, Super
Yeah,
Metroid.
But again, just a reminder,
then,
this is a Game Boy game.
So
They did this on the Game Boy.
So
Yeah,
then,
So
moving
sorry,
on from
again, a big
there,
twist that's revealed
moving
here.
on from there, I can kind of make assumptions.
Okay.
But please correct me if like I'm like way off base. But like, so the Federation finds out about this Metroid that is imprinted on Samus and wants to like study it and learn it and like try and like understand the power
Sorry, for
the
audio listeners, we're nodding. We're nodding
Yeah.
along.
We're nodding so much.
Yeah.
for the sake of power and advancement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, yeah,
And-
to understand this creature that they have deemed to be a threat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that kind of goes into
Super Metroid.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
in Super Metroid, it opens with
The last Metroid is in captivity.
exactly
The
very
galaxy
first one tells you
is at
is
peace.
at peace.
Yeah.
And so
You know?
you go to a research station. Once again, we're at a research station that has been burgled. The place that you had dropped off the baby, you go back and all the scientists have been killed. And you find Ridley there has abducted the baby Metroid.
Okay. So Ridley had no like connection to the Metroid like by like in terms of race or like Ridley's like
No.
an entirely different kind of being within this universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Ridley
Yeah, so
is
Ridley.
Like,
the boss of the
he's-
space pirates.
He's a bad guy. He's a lieutenant or captain or a boss of
Yeah.
the space pirates. You're like, but wait, I killed Mother Brain. I killed Ridley. What's going on? Why is he back? Why did he steal this? Where'd he go? You chase him back to Zebes, the planet from Metroid 1. So like already you're like,
So you return.
My shirt
yeah.
is
So
Zebes.
if you're a gamer
Eh.
from the NES, the Super Nintendo era, and you're going back to Zebes, you're like, holy cow! Like this is the planet from Metroid realized in
Yeah.
16-bit. It's beautiful now.
Oh
like,
yeah, perfect.
oh, you're back. It's very cool. Like it's very
It's
fascinating.
like I have this theory that I have been developing for years that like Super Metroid is one of the first examples of a remake, but like
Mhm.
not actually a remake. But
Yeah.
it's the idea of like, what if we made that first game today, but not let's redo the same story elements. It's just, look, we're back on Zebes. We're Samus again, and we're hunting down Metroids. Let's see what we can do with that idea.
is a lot of like the facilities and all of that, is it like picture perfect, like, or but with like modern day changes, like the things they've been doing to it?
Well, mostly in the beginning, there's a lot of like very much the beginning is almost exactly the same as soon as you land on the planet. You're like, I know this area. This is where I got, the morph ball upgrade. This is,
Yeah.
right over here is where I went after that. It does depart from it. It does add new areas after
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
The first area that you actually walk through is the chamber where you defeated Mother Brain in the first game. You kind of walk
Okay.
backwards through it and see that it's been devastated because that section of
Yeah.
the planet blew up.
You blew it
Mhm.
up, yeah.
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 So it's
Yeah.
very much like a huge like punch of nostalgia for folks who are familiar with the series already.
Okay.
And it really gets you back into like the roots of the series after the sort of the departure that was Metroid 2.
There's not many video games out that I will ever say are perfect video games, but Super Metroid, in my opinion, is a perfect video game. There's
Okay.
no flaws to that video game. It's amazing.
I think I have a little bit more critical of view of it, but like there's no mistaking that Super Metroid. I mean, it's the vast majority of Metroid fans call it their favorite Metroid game, and there's a reason. It was
Yeah.
monumental. It was genre changing and genre defining.
Yeah.
It was an incredible entry on the Super Nintendo. It stands up to this day. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, it had, I think, a vision, and it very much nailed it. Like
Cool.
it's an excellent example of how to, I think, it's a case study in how to, I think, reboot a franchise onto like bring it forward into like the new generation at that point. So
Yeah, because in theory, everything had been kind of wrapped up in a nice little bow at the end of 2.
yeah, like you killed all the Metroids except
Yeah.
for one,
Yep.
and it was a sweet little ending. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
as you say, like you logically made the step of like, oh, okay, now this Federation is going to want to study the Metroid. Hopefully not like kill it or
Yeah,
capture it or whatever. But
'cause
like she did comply. She handed it over and let them look it up.
yeah, that's just kind of like human nature and
Hmm.
dealing into like political stuff and like uh
Absolutely.
uh imperialistic stuff and economy and whatever. All of that all feeds into like what humans are obviously going to do in this situation. And
Mhm.
the Federation is like the humans, correct?
I think it's also. I think it's the Galactic Federation. I think it's
So
everyone.
there's all sorts of different races
It-
all under this
Yeah.
umbrella.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like if
and-
you've ever
and-
seen
original
Star Trek,
manual.
it is the Federation.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
you
is.
never
In the
meet
original
any
manual,
of
it had a
them.
bunch of different.
Y-
pictures.
Well,
yeah.
you do. You meet the. We haven't gotten to the sequel to Metroid,
Well, in
Super
Prime
Metroid.
3,
We're not there
So-
you
yet.
meet a bunch of aliens.
So
Yeah.
Super Metroid,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you're punching through these new areas of like science and things that Ridley has been studying or something like
Yeah.
his whole new organization trying to like do sciencey stuff.
Yeah.
What uh so what do you find out there that
Yeah, so
he's
there's a big underwater area. There's a whole crashed spaceship that you get to explore, which is
I
very
hate the
cool.
wreck ship.
Well, so it didn't appear in the game because it hadn't crashed yet in the first game. So it's very cool to sort of explore new areas. But
Oh,
I'll let,
cool.
like we should have given a blanket spoiler warning for the whole series here. But
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
by
definitely
the
going
way.
to
I mean,
talk about what
it's kind of
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah,
and
we've already
This
been
is specifically
through the
for
first two
people to
games.
listen to on Thursday before they go buy Dread.
You
Like
get
that's
super
it.
hyped up
Yeah.
for Dread. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't-
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
we,
you just
we know
wanna
that
start at Dread,
Nintendo's
this will give you
been
there.
putting out a bunch of like official marketing and videos and summaries and stuff, but no, Marks with the Boys is the
Yeah.
real place to go.
The recap,
True.
the real
For the Metroid
recap, bro. The real
Yeah.
recap.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I'm trying to like. I'm trying to get a picture for what's going on and get me hyped up, and maybe I'll play through the series and then play Dread.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is giving
Yeah.
us the exact like prompts that we need to like
Right.
Yeah.
clear up
Yeah.
any discrepancies or any gaps that we've left here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you find out stuff in Super Metroid about what Ridley was doing with this baby Metroid.
Yeah, as far as you know,
Yeah.
it's just Ridley at this point. So you
Yeah.
chase him to Zebes, and then Ganon, please.
Yeah, so I would say the main things that you find out. So first of all, not counting Zero Mission, this is the first time you actually see space pirates.
Oh,
And they're
okay.
these weird, like lobstery type people who are crawling around walls and stuff. Mechanically in the game, they're used to communicate when you need to get new beam upgrades, like new
Okay.
upgrades to your main attacking weapon, and then showing how powerful they are. Because basically,
And they communicate that to you in like what you need to defeat them, or are they like passive?
they are not passive. They are hostile. They are
It's sort of the
angry to
chump
see
check,
you.
as you said. Like,
Yeah,
there's some
okay.
things shooting at you that you literally cannot harm until you pick up this
Yeah.
new thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean the first pirates you find die in one hit from your weakest weapon that you start
Yeah.
with. But then you start finding them, they take more hits or they don't take damage until you get a nearby upgrade, and then all of a sudden you can handle them, etc.
And in that way you can kind of surmise like a hierarchical structure within their
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
organization. Okay.
I would
Yeah,
say
there's
the
stronger ones for sure.
the two big things you learn in Super Metroid, well, really, it's one big thing. It's that the space pirates are trying to clone the Metroid. They're trying to bring Metroids back. You find
Okay.
you find an enemy kind of halfway through the game called a Mocktroid, which is like a crappy version of a Metroid. It's not as strong. It's easier to defeat. It doesn't like latch onto you. It still kind of like sucks your energy away, but it's a it's a cakewalk to get through.
Yeah.
But of course, once you get down to Turian again, you find there are now a whole bunch of these cloned Metroids. And they are the classic Metroids. You gotta freeze them, you gotta take them out with missiles. They're dangerous. It seems like they've actually succeeded in this Metroid cloning program.
Okay.
Yes. And then
Um,
you get very, very far into Torian. You're very near the end of the game. You fought Kraid again. You fought Ridley again. And, you're closing in on, whatever the secrets are. You're finding these Metroids and stuff. And then you find some space pirates that you can't kill, even with all the beam upgrades. And you're
Okay.
like, what's going on? What do I do? And then out of nowhere, a huge Metroid shows up, and you're like, "Oh, this can't be good." But then it kills. Well, it sucks on you for a little bit, but then it goes and kills the pirates because it realizes you're
You're
their
the
mother.
mom.
You're the
Yeah.
mom. It's the baby
Good.
Metroid is huge now and is saving the day and has let you through and helped you, and then leaves and vanishes for a bit. And you're like, oh my gosh, like it's the baby. The baby's huge now. This is great, and you get
My
to
kid's
progress
all
again.
grown up.
Yeah, so it got you out of a tight spot, which is nice. And then you find Mother Brain again, and you're like, oh, they've reincarnated or revived or whatever. Like Mother Brain's
Cloned or
back.
yeah.
So just like the first game, you kill her again, just how she was in the jar, and then the jar falls away. The whole machine that was sort of keeping her life falls away, and she has a body now, and she's huge.
Oh, okay.
And Mother Brain starts beating the stuffing out of you essentially,
Yeah.
and takes you down very, very low health. But once you get far enough in the fight, the baby comes back and sucks a bunch of energy out of Mother Brain and gives it to you. But then Mother Brain kills the baby.
The baby.
Yeah. I've seen this fight at GDQ numerous times.
Yeah.
So,
that was
but now that we've connected all the pieces, I understand it.
Now you understand the context. But that energy that you got from Mother Brain has given you insurmountable power. Now you have what's called the Hyper Beam, and now you can defeat Mother Brain again properly all the way and escape the facility and save the animals and get back on your ship and get out of there.
And then
Save
so
the
at the end of Super Metroid, properly all of the Metroid
of the Metroids are dead.
They're all gone for real this time. You've blown up Zebes.
Canonically,
the whole planet's gone now. You blew up the whole planet.
Canonically, saving the animals is canon, right?
That's why you have to save the animals.
Saving the animals is canon for specific reasons in the future. Yeah,
which we'll get to.
Yeah.
So
when we talk about fusion,
for saving the animals, you basically load them up onto your ship and take off with them.
No, so throughout Super Metroid, you actually interact with these Edacoons and Dracoras, yeah. So there's like these emu type things and these raccoon type things that you kind of interact with a couple of times. They actually teach you a few mechanics, sort of without any, like they show you, they don't tell you anything. There's no words to read, because like they teach you how to wall jump, and how to chain wall jumps together by just showing you how to do it. And they teach you how to shine spark, which is a way of using what's it called? The speed booster.
The speed booster, yeah.
If you run for a long time, then eventually you just jet forward. And then if you crouch, you sort of you store that energy, and then you can use it to jump super far upwards. So these animals teach you this mechanic, and then optionally, as you're escaping the planet, as the timer's running out, you can go into this room and see the animals and use the hyper beam to blow up a wall, and then they rush out to the right, and then you can leave the regular way, and you see as the planet's exploding, a second ship sort of escapes the explosion. Against the animals.
And do the animals, are they like intelligent and like have their own ship, or is there like a third party that came down to rescue?
They are known to be intelligent.
So
because of what we learn in the next game.
So it's presumed that they have their own space travel mechanism.
They got on a ship and escaped the planet, so they must be pretty smart.
And the ship is represented in great detail in Super Metroid. You can see one little pink pixel flying away from the planet if you rescue them, and that's the only thing that changes if you save the animals.
But it's canon for many reasons.
But it takes more frames.
So for 8 years, like that's all you got was like the satisfaction of one pink pixel.
That's so funny.
But
so
there's
fusion picks up off the tail of that.
But there's something between fusion.
No, there isn't. We're not talking about this.
We have to talk about.
We'll talk about it later.
But Ganon, the tale of Samus TM can now be told.
We'll give it 2 minutes.
That's it.
Other M. It was announced, I think, in E3 very excitingly that Team Ninja was going to be handling a Metroid game, which they had done Ninja Gaiden. People were very excited for it. It sounded very cool, and what they ended up making was mechanically a very interesting game,
across
story-wise. was not
And
A
not
cross
good.
between Prime and normal and 2D Metroid.
Yeah, well,
TV.
they were just fleshing out some stuff and showing it, on the screen versus, what was, a text-only flashback essentially in Fusion. They were just fleshing it out, some characters that they talked about as well.
Okay, so in Fusion they talk about what happens, and then Other
Yeah,
M is
Fusion,
like developing those events.
They just say here's some stuff that happened in Samus's past. I don't think they specify that it happened between 3 and 4, between Super and Fusion, but they just say like, here's a character that Samus knows from her past, and she reminisces about this character. And then in Other M, they sort of spell out all of that.
And he sucks. He
They
sucks
also
so
do
much. He
much
sucks.
detail.
the reason I don't want to talk too much about this before we talk about Fusion is my major complaint with this game is not most people's major complaint. It's that the big story reveal of this game is exactly the same story reveal of Fusion. They just did it again, and
Yeah.
it's dumb. So I want to talk about Fusion first because Fusion's
sort of
great.
like, an
Yeah.
anime OVA where it's like everyone's going to be fine afterward essentially
Yeah.
because they're in the
'Cause
next game or whatever.
yeah.
There's no stakes or anything.
Yeah.
So who cares? And
So-
also it's just the story is for lack of a better word, very cringe.
My
Yes.
number one problem, it's staying on Other M, and M I know we'll leave, but my number one problem with Other M is actually the character of Samus. I
Absolutely.
think they absolutely like took a rock and chucked it at her, and it really sucks. It
like
really
they had this very
sucks.
strong template for like a strong female protagonist, and they made
An
her
amazing
whiny
protagonist.
and very much like sort of subservient to male characters.
Yep.
And
Oh.
it's terrible. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
And
if you play the game without cutscenes, it's a good game. If you
Yeah,
play
yeah.
it with them, it's not.
It's a pretty
Yeah.
solid
like
game.
TV, for example, in
It's
all
got like a good map and like gameplay elements, but
It's very different. Like it
It's
plays
different.
a lot like a Ninja Gaiden game, except with a blaster
Interesting.
instead of a sword. where
with the controller, I don't have a Wii remote, but you play the game with a Wii remote sideways, and then there are points of the game where you literally face it forward as if you're playing Mario Galaxy or anything, and
you
it
go pew, pew, pew,
it
pew,
brings
pew.
you first person, and it's such a
Well,
cool idea.
yeah,
It's
like,
just
it's so
it
it's
plays-
a tragedy.
It plays really quick. It plays really. Samus is a lot more physical
Yeah.
in that game. She's like swinging aliens around by the tail and
Yep.
like blasting them in their mouths, and it's got so many cool ideas.
yeah.
I haven't played a Bayonetta game, but it does kind of visually remind me
Yeah.
of how Bayonetta is
Okay.
like moving around and blasting things. It's not, the comparison is not perfect, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a really mechanically it's a really fresh take on the series that if you can separate it from the story elements that I hate, make it a really interesting game.
Yeah.
But they also at the time were leaning really heavily into like, no, this is where we are going. Jyggy even made fun of it earlier. It says so on the back here. The tale of Samus can finally be told.
TM. No,
Like-
it's
Which-
TM, dude.
Samus
Samus
TM.
TM.
Tale of Samus TM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really just tragic. It could have
And-
been
Yeah.
so much. And
Again,
it just-
TB, we won't go into heavy spoilers of the game's like story, but in each Metroid game, you lose your abilities because it's
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
Metroidvania. You have to go find them and all that
Yeah.
stuff. In Metroid Other M, you have them the entire time, but you can't use them because a man told you can't. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like she used to be, in the story of the game that she used to be part of the Galactic Federation Army, or the
Okay.
Navy or whatever it is, and so she's a bounty hunter. She goes to the space station. They're there. He's there, and he just says, "You're not authorized to use, any of your cool stuff. Like even when you're in a lava area and you're taking lava damage, he won't authorize you to use your lava suit for a super long time.
Yeah.
Instead of like a crash land
He-
and
he
your
was-
suit breaks and you
He was
gotta find
going
out.
to the bathroom. He wasn't at the comms, so he couldn't tell you to turn on the not boiling.
Yeah, it's so
thing.
questionable. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But let's move on
To a good
Yeah,
game.
Fusion.
Let's go talk
Good
about a good
game.
game.
Metroid Prime Pinball. That's right.
Oh,
Let's get
yeah,
into
hell
that.
yeah.
Metroid Prime Pinball. Metroid
Yes,
Prime
but there are
Pinball
other
retells
side
the
games.
stories of Prime 1. Moving on.
Hunter.
Wait, is Federation
Prime
Force
Hunt is-
before this, or is it after
First
this?
Federation Force was very late. It was
like
it was
chronologically,
very
though.
late. very much the Triforce Heroes sort of era of Nintendo of making like multiplayer games that people didn't want.
No, I'm talking chronologically. I'm talking about like timeline wise.
Metroid Prime Federation Force is the latest in the Prime timeline, so it comes after Prime 3.
Okay, yeah. So it's previous,
and it doesn't have anything to do with Phase On, so it kind of contradicts what I said earlier. That Prime
again, my stance.
But it's basically a spin-off.
My stance on Federation Force is if they would have called it Metroid Federation Force, it would have done great. But the moment they mentioned the word Prime, it killed any chance for that game to do well, in my opinion.
No, I said Metroid, I think, was the issue. Like,
you think the word Metroid? No.
Well, so here we are. We're saying that we're having the first original Metroid in 19 years, and we're so excited for it. Imagine, the first original Metroid in 15 years, except it's this. You don't play as Samus. You don't it's not fun to play unless you have 4 people.
Yeah, you're a squad of goons from the Federation Force.
Yeah,
and they showed it off. Like the main thing they showed off in the early marketing for the game was the soccer mini game.
Yeah,
Metroid.
That's all I remember from it. Yeah,
the soccer ball.
So it's like if they said, okay, we're bringing back F-Zero, but it's a beat 'em up now or something. It makes no sense. Like people didn't want this; they wanted a Metroid game, and they put the name Metroid on it.
But
it's a fine game.
Does it have any relevant story though?
No, no, not really.
Well, so, maybe we might know when Prime 4 comes out.
Oh, okay.
It's a fine. Yeah, they might make a callback to it or something, but it's
fun.
Or
they might try and flesh out Federation and some stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. People might have referred. It's just like Zelda 2. Like people might have referred to it very fondly, if it just weren't attached to this beloved franchise.
Already.
Yeah.
So,
I actually love Zelda 2, so
Metroid
I can't say anything.
Fusion.
But
let's
get into
talk about this game. The official. This is the game
the
that
latest entry in the series before Dread.
Only 19 years old.
19 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, let me tell you a story. 19 years ago, we were all in diapers, probably.
Well, I was.
I wasn't.
I bought Prime and Fusion. I don't know if I bought them on day one, but I do know they were my first introductions to the series.
Okay.
So I was slightly
Christmas.
I was slightly out of diapers.
I was. I hope well out of them.
I was potty trained.
Yeah, I had this game, but I did not touch Fusion for years. I didn't even bother with it.
So okay, let's talk about Fusion. At the end of Super Metroid, as we already covered, you have eliminated Metroids.
Yes.
They're gone. They're done.
They're
and yet we have a game called Metroid Fusion. The game opens. So the game opens with Samus saying, "Hey, the Federation contacted me to guide some science teams that were going back to SR388, the planet from this game."
Yeah, Metroid 2. You killed all the Metroids.
Now that Metroids are gone, we want to see what life is like on this planet. We're going to do geological and biological surveys and stuff.
Check out the food chain now that the predator has been removed.
And while you are escorting these soldiers, you find a new type of organism, a kind of parasitic, blobby, amoeba-like thing that is impervious to your weapons and infects your body. And you think, oh, well, I'm part bird, so I'm probably fine.
Yeah.
This nearly kills Samus.
All right.
It completely destroys her body. They end up naming the creatures the X parasite because X is a cool sci-fi sounding name.
Yeah, for sure.
So what it had done is it had fused her suit to her body. It had basically melted her suit, kind of.
Oh.
And so they had to surgically remove a lot of it in order to rescue her, essentially, to do a lot of surgery to save her from all this damage that this parasite had caused.
Yeah, so it was going to kill her. Like nothing the Federation could do could cure her until someone proposed a cure. Hey, we've developed this vaccine made from Metroid DNA.
Okay.
Because the Metroids were the predator.
Samples. Yeah, we got samples of Metroid DNA from the baby that you rescued, and we're going to inject you with this DNA, and it completely wipes out the X parasites in your body.
So the Metroids were keeping this parasite in check on
Correct.
SR388 or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So now, biologically, since the food chain has been disrupted, now there's a new top dog, and it was this thing that was being bullied by the Metroids.
this
Yeah,
thing
like
that
right
was
now.
that was capturing it was taking over and zombifying more or less all the
Yeah.
animals on SR388.
Yeah, so it could take over animals and make them very scary, and it tried to take
Yeah.
you over, and it very nearly succeeded. Ecology, hey, even better.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The
So
X
your
parasite
suit.
reproduces asexually, so it can like
Mhm.
essentially clone itself.
Yep.
Ooh, look at that! That's a cool image.
Yeah.
That is a cool image.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
must be an image from like the Dread
It's
marketing.
Dread marketing, yes.
Yeah, so
But
you can
it's from
see
Fusion,
here, like
so
Samus's suit is very changed. Like it's
Very
parts of it
fleshy.
are still grafted to your body
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
couldn't remove all of it without killing you.
basically she's just like destroyed, dude. Like
Yeah,
her
so you have a completely different
Yeah.
kit, and you are a lot weaker now. This is possibly the best excuse for like having stripped all of your upgrades
Yeah.
away, is that like your suit's gone completely and you're left with this sort of fleshy like thing that's merged with you. And like,
yeah,
this
where
is
your
what
hand
you
is
look like
still the
now.
gun. It's really she's basically a
Yeah.
cyborg now, but
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you are weak to cold now because you have
Because you have
Metroid
Metroid
DNA.
DNA.
Yeah,
Okay.
and from from a mechanical standpoint, that's really cool. From a story perspective, you have now spent 3 games hunting. Your primary enemy was the Metroids. Now you are a Metroid.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome back
That's
to
really
Alien
cool.
Resurrection, where Ripley was brought back to life with
True.
alien DNA.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
eventually see that movie.
It's like if you're
It's
a
the other
fan
end
of the Alien,
universe.
if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, go ahead and watch it. But like,
I'm a fan of Alien.
yeah,
I think Aliens is okay, and those are the only 2 movies I've seen. So eventually I'll get
Yeah.
there.
I think Alien 3 people like maybe thought was a little much, and then Alien 4 everyone was like, why?
yeah.
So what other cool things happen in Fusion? The X parasites that infected your suit, the pieces of your suit they removed and put on the space station. And because the X parasites can asexually reproduce, they ended up reproducing your suit and becoming a sentient X parasite you
Okay.
at your full power from the end of Super
Yeah,
Metroid.
so we alluded
that-
to
And
fighting
that's
yourself
Dark
here.
Samus.
So
That's SAX is the name
Yeah.
of this
Okay.
one. And so yeah, there's this whole like
Oh yeah, because
She's-
Dark Samus was the prime
Phazon thing.
Yeah.
Phazon. Yeah. Okay.
The
so
Phazon
she's
Samus.
fully powered up.
So
as
this
you
isn't
said.
the exact same, but
No.
Yeah.
it's
Well, so
it's-
you're
it's kinda
a weak
similar.
little baby. Like you
Yeah.
have no upgrades, and then this
Little
very
big dumb
powerful.
baby.
It looks like your original suit. Like it straight up just looks like Samus.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It is like chasing you essentially for some of the sections of the game. And you have to escape. Like you have to be very sneaky sometimes and like find little hidey holes. And like you cannot fight for 95% of the game. You cannot fight back. You just have to run.
So it's the what's the the equivalent of like Resident Evil
Mr. X.
Mr.
or-
X
Yeah.
or yeah
Yeah,
the-
there she
big-
is.
the
Yeah.
bigger badder one.
Yeah,
She-
like
she-
she'll
she's
like you
scary.
get a cutscene of her
Nemesis.
looking at you. It looks a lot like this. It's
Yeah.
very, very frightening. Like it's an evil clone of you essentially.
And so
Yes.
basically
because
throughout
it took over the parts of your suit that were removed from you and remade you and made this.
So
Okay.
And,
throughout the
but one of
game,
the-
you're more or less running
Yeah.
away from this you who is just annihilating everything.
But one of the perks of having this Metroid DNA is now whenever you kill enemies that are infected with the X parasite and then the parasite itself sort of, escapes, the ghost of the parasite escapes and tries to run off, you can actually, like this thing that killed you almost, like this one parasite that infected you, just
Mhm.
pick them up and that's your health and your armor like pickups
Oh,
is that
okay.
you can absorb these X parasites now because you are, on top of the food chain, which is very
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
Um,
as Karashi Draconis is saying, it replicates anti-Metroid strategies against you. It uses cold weapons against you. It like tries to drag you through
Yeah.
cold
It-
areas where you
It
are weak.
freezes you and then shoots missiles at you,
Yeah,
which is exactly how you killed
Yeah.
Metroids.
That's cool.
Through this and then through other texts as you play through the game, you end up realizing that the X aren't by themselves intelligent, but when they kind of absorb and replicate a being, they gain that being's intelligence.
it's sort of
Okay.
like
Or at
the
least kind of like
Thing
a
little bit.
facsimile of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
very
absorbing
the
his
thing. Yeah,
consciousness.
Yeah.
going into
Um,
like sci-fi horror. Yeah,
yeah, like more sci-fi horror
Yeah,
than just aliens.
this
Like
game
it's
is
Yeah.
the
drawing from that as well.
definition of. I would say it's the scariest Metroid game. I would.
Absolutely.
I think I don't know.
The scariest Metroid game so
so
far.
Yeah.
far. Yeah,
Prime 2 has some really scary moments. Prime 2 has some really scary moments, but in my opinion, Fusion, like for a Game Boy Advance game, dude, I was
Yeah.
like, what am I playing right now? This is
It's killer.
terrifying.
It's so good. Like it's
Yeah.
a ton of fun. It does very well. Like this sort of thing we talked about, where you don't feel welcome in every new area that you end up in.
Yeah.
And
And I
very
liked that. I liked the fact that that Samus just feel like Samus is not this crazy epic bounty hunter anymore because she's been stripped away literally of all of her power after going through dramatic surgery, and she still is here trying to overcome problems and solve this stuff.
Yeah, so it has these vignettes, like these moments where like she's tracked you down and you have to escape her, and that's what they wanted to, and we'll talk about this more, but this is what they wanted, I think, to do with Dread a lot, and they announced Dread for
Yeah.
the DS initially in like 2004, I think, and then
2005.
ended up canceling it 2005, and so, but they canceled it because I guess the technology wasn't capable yet of doing what they wanted to do with it, which is a lot of, I guess, being chased by scary things and running away from them and doing stealthy type stuff. Just
yeah.
they didn't have enough sort of computational capability on these, on a DS, on whatever, like probably not Game Boy Advance because I didn't even bother trying with that to pull off what they wanted to do. And it's very much, yeah, as again, as Chad is saying, it's very much more narrative. There's a lot more text to read. It tells you a whole story about Samus's backstory, about this person called Adam in her past. And
Adam.
she just keeps thinking about him. She's like, "Oh, I'm talking to this, this robot of this
Adam.
space station that I'm in, and it's reminding me of this dude called Adam that I used to work with, who was, kind of a tough talker, and
He sucks.
he really,
he really
well, yeah,
sucks.
but he I don't know, he was my commanding officer, but he taught me a lot of things about stuff or whatever. Basically,
He knew how to make the hard choices. He was, tough but fair. He was
Yeah.
compassionate under a layer of like military style. We got to get
Yeah.
this done. Samus has a lot of fond memories of Adam.
Yeah.
And
Even though
because
he sort of sucked.
Adam
we found
Adam
out-
is better in Fusion than
Yeah.
he is in this video game, but
Yeah,
and sometimes
'Cause it's
people's
all flashbacks.
memories of people are better than the person actually was.
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, and you're experiencing it from Samus's perspective in hindsight.
Yeah.
So
And this game is again more linear now, because you are going through specific areas. You are going through the story, like, because it's a space station again. There's like 6 different elevators that you're going down to each particular sector, and solving the problem and getting the upgrade in that sector.
Yeah.
So every boss you fight is just infected with this X parasite, and once you defeat the
Okay.
boss, you also have to defeat the X parasite that pops out of it. And
Yeah.
only then can you absorb, whatever power that it has, stolen from you or whatever, to upgrade your now fleshy kind of Samus suit. Which is
So
very cool.
so the bosses and stuff, are they they're all like new things. They're all just other organisms that have been taken over by the X parasite.
Some
A
of
good
them are
amount
just-
of them are, and a good amount
some
of them are like
security systems from
Yeah.
the space station too.
Okay.
and some of them I think are callbacks to enemies that you faced before, especially in Super Metroid, because this was the
Yeah.
direct sequel to Super Metroid.
Yeah. Just for the sake of the nostalgia and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay.
Speaking of nostalgia, one of the creatures that has been absorbed and cloned by the X parasites is, that's right, you guessed it, everyone.
Ridley.
Ridley is back.
Let's go.
And he is louder than ever.
Oh, he yells and screams.
Oh boy.
The big
Ooh,
meme. I watch a guy. I still watch the guy. He used to speedrun Fusion, and every time he got to Ridley, I'd be like, "Can you turn the volume up? I can't hear him." And just scream, constantly. Oh my gosh!
But this being a
Amazing.
research station that you are exploring, it has all these animals on it that are being infected by the X parasite, and it also has some animals from the planet Zebes that you
That you
rescued.
saved on Super Metroid.
They're on the ship, and they help you once again because they're
Oh,
very
good.
helpful. So you end
Very,
up
very good
eventually being
animals.
able to fight the SAX. Is a very, very, very hard battle you
Oh,
eventually get
yeah.
up to. She's very
It's not that
tough.
hard.
Okay, well, true gamers, true gamers have no trouble. I whatever. Who cares? I will not. This is not on litigating this right now. But maybe I didn't have enough upgrades. Maybe I'm a bad gamer. But very tough battle. Eventually, you beat her. And then as you escape the space station with the help of your animal friends, which have gotten onto your new ship. Oh, your old ship blew up also, by the way, because whenever you were infected with the X parasite,
You
and
were like piloting the ship,
you didn't
and
realize it yet, but you were about to start dying. You're just flying your ship away, but then you crash it because
Yeah. Okay.
you go into a coma essentially.
Yeah.
And so your old ship's gone. You got a brand new ship, and the animals are on it. And as you're about to leave, an Omega Metroid from Metroid 2 pops out, like one of the most like right before the Queen stage of the evolution of a Metroid has shown up and is trying to prevent your escape. And you eventually escape with the help
And
of
so
the
that's a
SAX.
Metroid that has been taken
yeah.
over
So
by the X
so we
parasite.
we kind of skipped over what I was alluding to earlier. The big, in my opinion, the big plot development of this game. You're near the end of the game. You've started recovering abilities, and when you tell your computer CEO, when you tell Adam about it, he's like, "Wait, we didn't approve you to get that. That's weird that you got it. You should stop going off the beaten path that we're describing for you." And you say, "That's weird. I just got the dang thing. I'm trying to fight whatever." Eventually, you get to an area that says like, "We are a restricted area,
So
authorized personnel only."
so stuff
And
that the Federation didn't want to like leak out, like
right,
Absolutely.
dirty.
And Samus ends up finding the ability to get into that restricted area, and you say, "Well, mechanically, actually, the game restricts you from going any other way. You can't escape the
Yeah.
area you're in. You must go through this restricted area.
You're being
You go
chased by
through a
the
door.
SAX, I believe.
You go through to what they call the restricted laboratory, and in the first room you open, what do you see but a tank full of Metroids?
Oh,
And
so they were also working on cloning
the
Metroids.
Yeah.
Federation was cloning Metroids. You
Okay.
know,
So,
the organism
uh-oh.
that they said, "This is so dangerous, you must eliminate all Metroids," that caused the X parasite to come back. The Federation was secretly creating this breeding program, and you
You must
see,
eliminate all Metroids that aren't in our hands. Is what
Yeah.
right,
they're saying.
Yeah.
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 um,
Okay.
This is
you
our
you see
bioweapon.
in the tanks, you see in some other tanks in the laboratory Metroids at other stages of the development, which you first saw in this game.
Hmm.
um, and you eventually you like you detach and destroy the restricted lab, but the
Hmm.
computer reveals to you that, like, yeah, one of the sections of this space station was dedicated to replicating the environment of the planet where Metroids grew so that we could grow Metroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those Metroids ended up growing to this Omega Metroid status and ends up blocking your path to your ship, um,
Well, what's very
which
cool as
leads them
well,
to
as you're blowing up the restricted area and escaping it, you see in the background the SAX shooting a bunch of Metroids because it being the X parasite is like, this is my primary enemy. Like
Yeah.
I gotta get rid of these. And then whenever you're fighting the Omega Metroid, you are in dire straits. You need some help. Boom, the SAX comes back and helps you escape by
Yeah.
fighting the Metroid off.
kind of.
Because again,
Yeah.
it sees that as a much bigger threat because
Yeah.
it is its principal sort of predator, and then
Yeah.
you manage to escape and blow up the space station, and then
So
fusion is over.
do these cloned Metroids retain their like original autonomy, or are they like subservient to the Federation?
I think they're
Unclear.
wild.
Unclear.
I
Okay.
think mostly they're wild. Like I don't think that they mention anything like
Yeah,
that.
I guess the fact that the Omega Metroid like crashes out of a wall and has been shown to be destroying like the docking station
Yeah,
probably alludes to the fact that they are wild and untamed.
Oh,
But
yeah,
okay.
you don't talk to a Federation,
Yeah.
scientist who's like, you don't grab him by the scruff and say, "What were you doing with Metroids?" Even though that's
Yeah.
what I
yeah.
wanted to.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's part of, like, I know they encroach it in other M, but I don't know if it comes up in Fusion, but they definitely talk about like engineering the Metroids to eliminate their weakness to cold as well.
That's
Um,
more. That's
that's
in
more
Other
M.
M.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
So
poisoned by playing Other M way more than I played Fusion.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
Other M. The main reason why I hate Other M is because they try and pull the exact same narrative twist that, oh no, the Federation would never clone Metroids. The Federation is cloning Metroids. I can't believe. Garbage
Yeah,
game.
so it definitely turns on its ear this sort of concept of the ultimate benevolent galactic federation, because they're also up to no good.
Which they're when you have an organization this powerful, it's bound to corruption, bound to be imperialistic, capitalistic, like just this disgusting uh, uh, organization trying to control things
Yeah.
with a strong arm, because you have other parties that don't necessarily agree with it, and that's just bound to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to that point, one of the final things that you learned that the Federation is doing, like right after you learn the Federation has made Metroids, you go to the computer CEO, this Adam, and you're like, why the hell are they doing this? And he kind of sidesteps the question. He's like, oh, of course we would do this. And oh, by the way, we also want to study the X parasites and the SAX. So we're forbidding you from killing all the SAX. And you're like, what are you talking about? These are even more dangerous than the Metroids. And you eventually convince your computer CEO, who you've been calling Adam, who you learn is actually Adam. Like it's the Adam from this game.
Yeah, it turns out they copied his brain into this computer and had it run all this stuff, which is very weird.
Yeah, and you, like, by calling the computer Adam, remind the computer of Adam the person, and remind the computer Adam that, like, Adam would have made the same choice you want to, of his humanity and his ability to make these tough decisions. And you and the computer conspire, okay, before the Federation gets here and the X-Parasites slaughter them and then take over their ships and take over the universe, we're going to crash this space station into the planet SR388. We're going to eliminate all the remaining Metroids on this station. We're going to eliminate all the X-Parasites on the station. And the explosion should be big enough that we will destroy the planet SR388, eliminating all the X-Parasites. This is very not what the Federation wants you to do, but it is very the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so you collaborate with the computer to redirect the space station's orbit, send it into the planet. That gives you the escape sequence as it's 3 minutes until we detonate next to the planet. So you run back to your ship, you beat up the Omega Metroid with the help of the SAX. The way the animals help you, your ship can't be started without like someone actually in the ship to start it, and
like
the animals start the ship and get it out of the docking bay so that the Omega Metroid doesn't destroy it, and then fly it back in once it's safe. So the animals save your life because you saved their life in Super Metroid. And if you don't save them in Super Metroid, you are dooming yourself in Fusion. So everyone go save the animals.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So all that to say, there's a lot to Metroid. We've been talking about it for what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, nearly 2.5 hours now.
Yeah, it's very fascinating, and like I love this because normally if I get into like a series with a deep and interactive lore like this, I often turn to like somebody on YouTube that talks about it for like 2.5 hours. And so this is putting
it's us on YouTube.
This is putting me into a position where I can like bounce off and like learn the things that I want to learn, but also this can be for somebody else to like refer to and learn as well, and they can like see my perspective on it. So it's the most interactive and the most fun version of this experience.
Like, you're basically interviewing us.
And it's really cool because and that kind of is where we go off of this. But at the end of the game, as Samus leaves the planet and all that stuff, leaves the space station, and everything happens, but that it leaves us there. That's where it leaves us. They don't really give you a lot after Fusion. There's no prologue. Epilogue.
No epilogue.
There's no epilogue.
You've defied the Galactic Federation's direct orders very, very much here. So it leaves us in a very interesting place for Dread.
Yeah. So do we want to like hop into like some speculative stuff for Dread?
So Gannon and I both have sort of avoided a lot of I watched the preview trailer and that's about it. There's been a ton of Treehouse stuff, I think. No, Treehouse is localization.
They have shown a lot of this game
stuff.
to the point where I'm tired of them showing the game and I just want to play it.
I've been avoiding it.
So it's one of those things where TB it's something where just going off the the individualized trailer, we know that Samus is on the run. But we really don't know exactly anything more than that. Well, at least I don't, and the team doesn't. But we are very I'm very excited to get into it on Friday. Metroid Dread. There's some really really cool stuff. I have a feeling we're gonna see more X Parasite. I just don't think that they're gonna leave that out. But I'm excited about it. I mean, I guess.
This has got me excited about it.
I think my last thing, and guys, we were gonna say is ask us some questions. Ask them if you have any questions about Metroid. Ask the questions right now.
You got some Metroid experts ready to answer your Metroid questions, and hey, I will answer your non-Metroid questions too. I'll do it.
Well, just to make up my own question here that I don't see on the list yet, but in anticipation, if you are excited about the series now, if you are super pumped to get into Dread, if you want to experience this whole 2.5 hours sort of over 10 or 15 hours and play through the games yourself, I would recommend picking up Metroid Zero Mission. Is a great remake of the first game. Pick up Samus Returns for the 3DS, is an incredible remake of the second game, and then you don't have to worry about Game Boy stuff. Game Boy is a little hard to look at nowadays. I understand.
No. The game's beautiful. The game Zero Mission is beautiful. It's more of that this game's $90. So that's
it's $90.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Zero Mission is $90. Fusion's
Zero Mission is
Fusion is like $75. It's
okay.
These games are not
Virtual
cheap.
Console or for free on the internet if you know where to look.
Yeah.
And then Super Metroid is on all sorts of different things. It's on the SNES online library. It's on the SNES Mini, I think. It's on.
Yep.
So play that as well, and then
I'll play Super
Metroid Fusion. You should also steal somehow.
You can if you have a Wii U. If you have a Wii U, it's on the Wii U. If you're like me in a nutcase, you have the 3DS Ambassador program. It's on there.
So those would be the 4 I would recommend you play just to ramp up for Dread. But of course, Prime 1 and 2 are also very good. We didn't talk much about AM2R. There's a fan-made remake of Metroid 2, which is also very high quality, very, very much more sort of maybe pixel for pixel, a more accurate recreation of Metroid 2 than maybe Samus Returns is.
It emphasizes different elements.
Yeah. I think both of them are perfectly good examples of bringing something into the modern day, and it's just whether you prefer 2D to 2.5D is probably what might sell you on that, but highly recommend that if you like. Not sure where to get it. Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So sidestepping speculation real quick, and this will be probably the last point.
Sure.
Just go around and tell me other than the anticipation behind it and the fact that it's been 19 years since the last iteration of the franchise, what aspects in particular have you most excited for Dread?
I think for me, I can start this off here. I think for me, I don't have expectations, or I don't have if I don't see Dark Samus again, I'm gonna freak out. Nothing like that. I think for me, I'm just so interested in the fact that they keep saying this is the game that ties it together. This is the game that ends it. They're saying that this is the final Metroid game in the quote-unquote timeline. We know nothing after Fusion, so I'm just so excited to see how that
how they wrap it up.
Yeah, it's very bittersweet to hear that. But I would much prefer that than it overstaying its welcome for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely good to have a planned, legitimate ending versus drawing it out too long. So that is exciting.
Something frightening. Not to repeat what Jyggy and Doug said, but something I've learned. If this is a whole other topic, we don't need to go into it. Something I've learned, especially when starting to get into like anime recently.
Yep.
But really like TV shows and book series and stuff like that. Any like long-lived franchise. Something I really appreciate is a series that knows when to end.
Yeah.
And like
true.
either has an end in mind from the beginning or just doesn't, but knows how to end well.
Yeah,
Because
I think
there's nothing
TV
worse.
shows are real bad about that.
There's nothing
Yeah.
worse than seeing a series you love go on for way too long and just get really crappy, and then you just
Yep.
like you give up because it's been 10 years and it's gotten so much worse.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then like people
So-
like stop talking about it. They stop being excited about it. Like they don't remember it fondly anymore, usually because of how it ended. Like so, that's really unfortunate when that
Yeah.
happened. Like I think
Yeah.
American TV shows are really bad
Yeah.
about that type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like British TV shows, I think tend to know how to end, except for I guess Doctor Who. But
Yeah.
that's a very special exception.
Yeah.
So what am I looking for? I'm looking forward to the tension and the
Yeah.
story and
And so-
like if they're saying this is going to be the new scariest one ever, like that's very exciting. I do like a nice scary game.
Yeah, that's one of the things that like has me most excited for it, because like the natural progression so far has been kind of like starting to like edge closer and closer to like a sci-fi horror, where that's kind of like the progression for all sci-fi, is it ends in like a horror kind of theme. And I also really am like amped to maybe learn more about the Federation,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
and like the universal politics and stuff behind them.
Yeah,
Like-
like maybe they're the this is getting into speculation, but yeah, maybe they're the bad guy. Is
Yeah.
all I'll
One can
speculate here.
hope.
Yeah.
I have a simple answer, and it's kind of a repeat of what we already talked about. But Doug mentioned earlier that neither he nor I have really looked at much of the promotional material that's been coming out, because they've been putting out so much. They're telling
Yeah.
us so much about the game
The
that
first one I saw that they were like, "Here's what happens." I was like, I refuse.
I don't want to know.
I'm
Um,
I gotta go.
when they initially showed it in the direct earlier this year, it was like June, I think.
Mhm.
They said they put on the screen Metroid 5, and I said, "Here you go. Here it is. Take
Yeah.
it. Give it to me."
yeah,
Just the fact that again, we've talked about all these things. It's been 19 years since Fusion, but for me, the thing that is most intriguing is that Fusion, as we already talked about, changed so much about what we know about the main storyline. Samus became a Metroid. The Federation was kind of confirmed to be corrupt and potentially evil. Samus decided to go against the Federation's wishes for the first time. Samus is now technically a fugitive, maybe?
Yeah.
The fact that so many things changed that I think they were scared to continue that story.
Yeah, like
And the
after,
fact that they
after
are-
that, they've
Yeah.
been fleshing out other stuff. They've been doing
Yeah.
Prime stuff. They've been doing like
Remakes.
Hunters. They did Federation Force. They did other this is chronologically, Fusion is as far forward as it's been, because
Yeah.
her body, her stature in the universe, like all this stuff has been irrevocably changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it very much like
And
I
now
definitely understand
finally,
they wanted to put their best foot forward.
we are taking one step further. If
Mhm.
Mr. Frodo, if I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from Fusion I've ever been.
Exactly. I'm very
Definitely.
excited. This Friday,
All right.
I
All right,
think I
guys.
will be
Yeah.
gaming hard.
Yeah.
Let's get to
This
some questions,
Friday.
though,
Dread
yeah.
comes
Okay.
out Friday.
Questions.
All right, question time. All right, guys, welcome again. This is the question time. We are gonna kind of fly through this here because we don't want it to be the world's longest episode. It was a great episode, though.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like
Sorry, we
a
love
deep dive. A deep dive is
3
is
hours.
going to be a long thing.
Yeah.
but
3-hour episode.
these are
Get
like
your
our
get
first
your
few
questions in.
episodes.
Anything you want about
And
Metroid.
I've loved every minute of this
Yeah,
conversation.
it's been super fun. But get your questions in here. Our first question: if they remade Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion with the 2.5D style you see in Samus Returns and soon Dread, do you think they'd quite hold up as much as they do now, or as they did, or do you think they'd hold up?
So I think I have two different answers for these two games. I think so. First of all, I should put it out there as a brief summary. I'm in general anti-remaster and in general anti-remake.
Okay.
That said, I think the I think if you gave Mercury Steam, the company behind Samus Returns and now the company behind Dread, if you gave them Super Metroid and said, please do what you did for Metroid 2 to this game, I think it would be great. I think my main complaints of Super Metroid playing today are that its controls definitely show their age.
Yeah.
You take those controls and you put them into the modern day, and Super Metroid is already it becomes a perfect game.
There's
Like
a
Jyggy
lot
was
of
saying
ROM
earlier.
hacks for Super Metroid to sort of bring forward a lot of the quality of life, like movement upgrades
Yeah.
from Zero Mission and Fusion.
And I think, if they were to give it the same treatment that they did for Metroid 2, they'd be adding new elements, they'd be kind of revolutionizing it, and so I'd look forward to that. And I think the core elements of Super Metroid would definitely hold up. For Metroid Fusion, I don't want that to happen because I think Metroid Fusion stands on its own still. I know it's difficult to get, I know it's an expensive game to get, but I already have it, suckers. So I think it's great today,
Which is,
and I would not want to see it
it's
remade.
funny you say that, Ganon, because if I am correct, the first game that they wanted to make after they made Samus Samus Returns was they wanted to remake Metroid Fusion and release it a year later. Or
before.
Oh, before.
The initial proposal, Mercury Steam approached Nintendo and said, please let us remake Fusion. And Nintendo said, yes, but
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that you wouldn't want them to do it because they want to do it, and
I know they want to do it, but I don't want them to do it.
I heard from the great, like, just from my listening in and hearing all these stuff, that after Samus Returns, Nintendo was so happy they greenlit this game. They said, yeah, go for it, why not? But as development went on, Nintendo was kind of just like, hey, I know you're working on this game, but why don't you take a step back, make Dread, here's our DS demo, and put it on Switch.
2008.
Yeah. Here's what we have. This and if I'm correct, that this is just from like what I've listened to interviews. The director of Metroid, what's his name? The responsible for this.
Hold on, let me look on the back of the box for his name.
Whatever his name is.
I don't even know if it's gonna be here.
I don't remember his name.
I don't think it has like movie style.
Yeah,
like, blurb on the
he
back
loves his movies. He basically was just like, look, here's Dread, make it. Make my vision a reality, and they said we'll put it on Switch, and this was like this was like 5 years ago now or something like that. So this game's been in development. This is not a hodgepodge. This game has been in development.
I don't know what I thought before, but Gannon, you've convinced me. Yeah, Super Metroid has some very dated controls. Like it's very like if you were to pick it up nowadays, it does feel a little clunky, and you might sort of like if all you've seen is speed runs, they make it look easy, but it is actually a little bit sort of tough to control.
And as a newcomer to the franchise, I think I would appreciate that as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to only go like the sort of legal route or whatever, like I have no problem with playing something on a Game Boy Color or something, but some folks don't have that luxury, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the nostalgia for that type of thing. They would want it on a brighter, more beautiful screen. I'm sure it would drum up a lot of hype.
A brighter, more beautiful screen, like maybe a Switch OLED.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Also comes on Friday.
Also comes on
Friday.
Friday. You know what's crazy, and this is what's crazy. They announced Metroid Prime 4, and then they announced Metroid Samus Returns. The same exact company will now be releasing 2 Metroid games before Prime even gets a trailer.
True.
Yeah.
Very good point.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right. Our next question is, what would be your dream Metroid game? Could be Dread.
Yeah, I have no opinion on this because
I don't know.
I don't have experience in the franchise, but anything that like delves deep into lore and like like heavy politics and different factions all like working with with and against each other and anything like that. I find very fascinating.
Yeah.
So something
Interesting.
along those lines.
Yeah.
Just more fleshed out lore.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think we're talking about dream games, so I'm going to talk about something that is like I actually don't think it could ever exist because
Okay.
it's kind of contradictory things. These are my two favorite Metroid games.
Prime and Zero Mission for our audio listeners.
Prime and Zero Mission, and I like them for very different reasons. I like Zero Mission because it's a game that I started to learn to speedrun, and I feel like is maybe mechanically the pinnacle of the 2D series. That's up for debate, but that's my opinion.
It's a good game.
It's a great game. It can be played really fast. You can go really hardcore into it and just blast your way through the game. And then I like this because you can slow down and you can scan everything and you can find out, background on the flora and fauna of the world and really immerse yourself in a brand new universe. And those two like are at odds, the ability to just face blast your way through a game as fast as possible and the ability to slow down and really appreciate the world you're in. The dream game would be something that unites those two.
Yeah.
Somehow gives me both of those things, and I don't know how they could do it, but if they did it, that would become my new favorite Metroid game.
Yeah. I think for me, my quote unquote dream Metroid game would be I wish they'd take more of a page out of like a game like No Man's Sky, or they would take a page out of a little bit of like even Star Fox, where I wish that they would do a little bit more on making the game less about look big, or even like looking a little bit at like Breath of the Wild, even where it's not just oh my god Mother Brain's back, or oh hey look there's Big Bad Boy, or look Ridley, and they made it more about Samus being a bounty hunter. I would like it to be like almost like a mission-based. I know. Again, it's holding up Metroid Prime 3, which I know some people love, other people hate. I actually loved it. I really did. I want to be able to do like that aspect of being able to travel to different planets and do different things, but I kind of want them to give me a little bit more freedom in it.
Yeah. So the reason I hold this up is because actually today I was reading an article. Some of the people at Retro Studios who are behind Prime 3 were talking about how when they first started developing it, they had that kind of open worldy type of attitude and idea for its design. And the only reason they ended up walking it back and doing a more limited version of that is they looked at the technical specifications for the Nintendo Wii and said, oh, we can't do our vision. It's not going to be powerful enough.
So Prime 4.
Prime 4.
Prime 4.
Yeah, I mean, even though this is sort of the end point of the franchise, sort of story-wise, I mean, they still have this rich lore to draw from, and her entire history as a bounty hunter to sort of draw from as well. Because by the first game, she was already, the most accomplished and famous bounty hunter in the galaxy. So,
although we should mention that when Nintendo used the phrase bounty hunter to describe Samus in the first Metroid game, apparently they thought that meant like person who does cool things in space. There has never been a mention of Samus receiving payment for hunting any of her bounties.
What about hunters? What about that DS game?
The hunters were the other guys.
She's with other hunters, but she never like gets paid.
Oh,
we never talked about hunters. Hunters is weird.
Hunters is
not
very
really
strange.
relevant.
I mean, it's a first-person shooter on a console that has 0 control sticks, and therefore it uses the touchscreen to look around, and it is murder on the hands. It's and it reuses the same 2 bosses 4 times each. So
it's a DS launch game,
that.
dude. It's a DS launch game. What are you gonna do?
It was not a launch game. The
demo was a launch game,
and then the final game took a little bit longer to push out. It's interesting, but I wouldn't call it like good. It hurt my. I played some of it last week, and it very much hurt my hands. It was painful.
All right.
All right. Got another question
So
here.
the next question: do you think Mother Brain will make another return?
No.
So, well, okay, go ahead.
No, I just don't. I just think that especially with Dread. I mean, again, this gets into the let's speculate Dread kind of thing. But I think Dread is going to be vastly different, and they kind of already, even in Prime, Mother Brain has done its course when it comes to like, the variants of it. You know what I mean? I think if anything, we're just gonna find more space pirate groups, and they're all gonna have some different leader.
Yeah, like. There's
I
a
never
lot of finality to the story of Mother Brain in Super Metroid. And,
Yeah.
like,
I also, for some reason, and tell me if I'm wrong, Doug, or I'm not really wrong, but I never really associated Mother Brain with being the mastermind. Obviously it's Mother Brain. Ooh, look at, but for me,
she is a mine.
yeah, in my mind, Ridley and Kraid felt more like, like the big bads that would be, associated with more, future and other things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. They're much more like mascot-ified, I guess. Like, there's Mother Brain's not in Smash, So
well, because you couldn't.
Mother Brain is too big for Smash. I said it. So I don't want Mother Brain to be a recurring villain because of what we just talked about. But the problem is that Mother Brain first appeared in this game.
Metroid 1.
And yeah, Metroid Zero Mission. Sorry, I should explain for audio listens. Metroid 1 and Metroid Zero Mission. She then appeared again in Super Metroid. She then appeared again, kind of, in Metroid Prime 3. The final boss is an evil brain thing that you have to shoot its eye. It's basically Mother Brain. Well, then she showed up again in Other M. So, like, they keep revisiting Mother Brain, even if I don't think it's very interesting. They keep doing it. So do I want it to happen? No. Will it happen? I think there's a strong chance.
To talk a little bit more
spin-off, maybe.
Well, to talk a little bit more,
just to Ridley, so
just to kind of like talk about what Ganon just said about Prime 3 corruption or whatever. That's that TV. That's the Prime, like showcase of, wait a minute, the Federation saw something they liked and they kind of took it with these like computer brains. Very interesting.
The Aurora units.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, right there with you. I hope not, but if they do manage to do it, I trust that they'll do it right this time in Dread versus Other M's attempt at it.
From what I've learned today, I would prefer not to have it in Dread, but I feel like it's appropriate in other spin-offs they might make.
Yeah. I don't consider myself a fanboy, and I try not to act like one, but I do trust them with the franchise and taking it in the right direction.
I trust Retro
with
Studios,
like an actual numbered entry. So I think it should be. If it does happen, I'm sure it'll be done well enough that I won't complain.
It's weird to think. I know that this is a slight tangent, but it's weird to think when I think of Nintendo and when I think of Nintendo's like studios that work on their games. It's one of those. It's like the first one that comes to my mind is like Grizzo is our Zelda second party developer, and they're very hit or miss with their video games. They make like a freaking bop and a half that is Ocarina of Time remake, and then also the Link's Awakening remake, in my opinion. But then they make like a mess that is Triforce Heroes, and then another mess that is Majora's Mask HD. There you go. And then there's other second party developers that have made some kind of trash heaps. But Metroid has two studios that I trust so much. Like both the team that is working on Dread and the team that is working on Prime 4, they know how to make Metroid games. They really do. So like I'm not scared at all, when it comes to those developers, where like the new Pokemon is a prime example of I'm terrified for the company that made the Nier Automata menu to make a full Pokemon game.
Yeah, Yeah,
I mean, the
again,
menu is the biggest part of a new game, right?
It's just the menu, dude. They made the singular menu.
yeah, like we've been burned before, but those are always like a third party. So I think hopefully Dread will be very, very good.
And
I trust what their track record.
And even again, kind of thinking about Metroid here, I know we gotta keep going with the questions, but the only Metroid game I'm thinking like going through here, unless you count like Federation Force, there's two Metroid games that I think were kind of like oops.com, and even them aren't totally oops.com, and that's Team Ninja with Other M. But as you said, in my opinion, Team Ninja did a really good job of making a fun video game. They were just kind of forced to cram this story and character development in a poor way. And Federation Force just doesn't feel like a true Metroid game. Yeah. Hunters is not bad. It's just a DS game. You know?
It's very mission-y. It's very just go in and do this and fight one of the two bosses and leave, and like just collect MacGuffins. So
same as Federation Force,
like tech demo for the DS, but not much else.
It's the same as Federation Force.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's go on to the next question.
Do you think Samus will need to partner up with something or need help? I'm hoping that she can handle it on her own. I think that's a lot of the series is very much based on, like from Alien, very much sort of, the isolation, the fear, and like the overcoming your problems, getting stronger, like both with your own, gaming ability as well as, collecting power-ups and things like that. I hope she doesn't have to, because like they've tried that with Other M. They tried that with Prime 3. She had a lot of sort of an entourage to help her out. And those are, not my favorite sort of entries in the series. I think mostly because of that.
I wouldn't mind if there's like a side quest or like I think I would prefer more of like having an extra like, thing or mechanic or whatever, like maybe a hacking mechanic or something where you can take over a robot or something, than if we go back to like having Adam. I would prefer not to have a Navi. That's my big thing.
So the way I see them making this work with what I've learned today is like if she were to gain the backing of like a third party organization or like freedom fighters or revolutionaries or something like that to like try and change the course of history throughout that. So something she couldn't do alone, but something that she would be very much like leading the charge on.
Okay.
I'd be down for that. That's all I got to say on
that. Yeah. Final question, unless we get anybody else that adds them right now, last chance. Final question, and this kind of builds off what TB just said, but it's like, do you think a group of people that care about Samus will break off from the Federation and start a new group or company? I think this is very specific of us just kind of like
who is that? Like her old buds from the Navy, or like
remember me?
Yeah, hey man, it's me.
Remember me?
It's me. Hey man, remember that time we went to the mess hall and got juice together? All right, let's mess up some Metroids.
Like only if it takes the shape of a story where she's trying to shape the Federation, the future of the Federation, into something that benefits everybody.
I kind of hope she I hope this doesn't happen, because I think that'd be a little cliche. Again, I very much retcon all character quote unquote development from Other M. I don't like it. I much rather keep thinking that Samus is this really cool bounty hunter who doesn't need no man unless she wants one. Like that's kind of the way I look at it. And I just don't think she cares about the Federation. I think that she does work for them because they pay her. This is again my mind canon. But in my mind, it's just like she clearly has a past with them, but I don't think she cares enough about their like success that they will go and that she will take investment in forming a better Federation. In fact, I think she'd be one to just try to take down the current one.
And that's hinging on the fact that that they take the story in that kind of direction, which they probably won't.
Yeah.
But it's hard saying at this point.
I think she's a loner. They definitely tried. They tried it in Prime 3 to have like a group of other folks, like-minded individuals, and I've heard it described as like the Halo-fication of Metroid, and like I didn't care for it myself.
Yeah, I think the series has not gone in this direction before. I would be surprised if it did go in this direction, but I think if they are going to go in this direction, now is the time to do it after the developments of Metroid 4 of Fusion.
Yep.
Interesting take. Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. That's again, we know nothing, and I don't want to know. If you know any spoilers, I don't care. We know nothing after this game. Last time we left Samus, she's messed up. Okay, she's got nowhere to go. She's not a crazy, overpowered bounty hunter who has a crazy Vera suit. Okay, she's a weird, messed up mutant who just blew up a space station, okay? That's it. That's all we know.
But we're very excited.
Oh yeah.
My Friday is blocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I will be at the Nintendo store at 8 in the morning on Friday, picking up my copy of Metroid Metroid Dread, and also my Switch OLED.
OLED Metroid Dread.
Yeah, I will be.
Get that bread.
Make a YouTube video for it, but so stick around. Anyway, I think that's our show.
Yeah.
Might be the show. Thanks for listening, folks. Thanks for watching. If you watched.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah, rate
Thanks
us
for
5
having me.
stars if you got them. And
write us a review, or write them a review on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or whatever podcast service you listen to.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Show us some love if you really enjoyed this. And if you're listening far in the future and this is somehow like your Metroid Dread catch-up source, not like the condiment, but like catching up. Cool.
Metroid
catch-up. And if you have any questions, if you just want to like express your thoughts, if you're like me and are new to the series but you're listening to this and you're having a good time and you want to express those thoughts, go to Twitter and tweet at us with hashtag MWTB.
True.
MWTB. That's short for Margs with the Boys.
Yep.
I know you all watch that. I know you all watch that hashtag. I'll be watching that for the next couple days and weeks. See if you guys.
Obviously, we love to talk about the franchise. We've been doing it for almost 3 hours, so make it happen. We'd love to.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.